Street, 324 West Water Street, 401 South Salina Street, all in Syracuse, New York. You also find them on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at Sweetheart Corners in North Syracuse in their drive-through location. And you will find them on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius in their double-decker cafe. Appreciate your patience here this morning as we got ready and set to go inside of the studios here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. So hope you're having yourself a great morning. I hope you had a great weekend. I hope you did some good things. I hope you had some fun, and I hope you did it with some awesome people. So with that being said, speaking of awesome people, coming up on the show today, we're going to have some fun with a lot of incredible, amazing guests inside of Ma and Pa's Popcorn.com's What's Poppin'. Ma and Pa's local here in our community, 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Go in there and get any tin, any size tin, and you can fill it with multiple different flavors whenever you go in, and half-price refills for the rest of your life. Ma and Pa's bringing us some amusement, some fun, smiles, and What's Poppin' every single Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. What's going to be popping first is an all-new Bobcat Buzz featuring Clay Gagen-Sherman. You know we have the exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse, and Clay is going to be joining me this morning as his team continues to set records in the regular season. They had the most wins ever in the men's basketball program at Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse when they hit 12. They've now hit 16, and we'll discuss that with Clay Gagen-Sherman and more coming up in an all-new Bobcat Buzz in just a moment. And then later on this hour, around 9:40 a.m. Eastern Time, the Syracuse Orange, you see that logo here, my Q&As with head coach Jim Boeheim and veteran guards Symir Torrence and Joe Girard III will be airing this morning following their loss to Duke at home in front of 31,000 plus, the largest on-campus crowd this entire season in the country. I believe it was 31,063 tickets sold. And then in hour number 2, I'll be joined by one of my good buddies and one of the greatest, in my opinion, Syracuse players to ever don the orange. Otis Hill will be joining me around 10 a.m. Eastern Time to carry us through hour number 2 to start off this week of Wake Up Call here in February. So, a lot of great stuff coming up here where sports meets life. We're going to take a quick step aside on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and we'll be back with Clay Gagen-Sherman right after this inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios. An all-new Bobcat Buzz comes up for you next.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Kubal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafekubal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Kubal needs. Cafe Kubal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315 487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, hanging out with you where sports meets that thing called life. Appreciate you being here with us every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time here inside, like I said, of these Cafe Kubal studios. Cafe Kubal, 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 401 South Salina Street, all in Syracuse, New York, on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, and on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at Sweetheart Corners in North Syracuse. So make sure you head out to Cafe Kubal today. Let them know that Wake Up Call sent you their way, and we definitely appreciate and know that every little bit helps in our community, and a cup of coffee goes a long way. With that being said, inside of ModPawsPopcorn.com's What's Poppin', I am so happy, as always, to be able to bring you our conversations that we call the Bobcat Buzz in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse. And these Bobcats continue to roll. They got a big trip coming up for the men's and women's basketball team today. I was talking with Clay off the air. They're about to leave this morning, go down to Philly, play a game, and turn right back around and come home at like 2-something this morning. So it is going to be an awesome day, and I appreciate Clay spending some time with us here this morning on Wake Up Call as the men's basketball team in his first season at the helm as their head coach continue to set records. 12 was the record wins in a regular season for Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse. They're now up to 16 as they get set for the game today. And with that being said, we bring in a good friend of mine, Clay Gagen-Sherman. Coach, how are you?
I'm good, Dan. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing well, man. Listen, this has been an awesome season. It continues to be an awesome season, and I know that there's obviously a game going on today, like I had mentioned, and then more life after this for this team with the record that you've had and the season that you've had. You've gone through injuries, you've gone through adversity, you've gone through trying to figure out what different pieces work with who and trying to find those right combinations and do good things here. So what can you say about, how it's all kind of danced together this season as you try to it's kind of like choreography. As you've gone through the season, you've tried to find the right steps. Where do you think the team's at right now?
Yeah, like we kind of mentioned last week, we've just been figuring it out and finding a way to win. And our game on Saturday was exactly that. It was a rematch against Albany, who we just played on Wednesday and had a close game with them, beating them by 3 last week. And then they came to our home on Saturday for senior night, and it was an extremely close game. We ended up winning by 2 points on senior night. We were cold. We were missing shots we normally make. They came out in the first half and got up 12 on us. They definitely wanted some revenge, but, that game specifically was just one of those games. We figured it out. We went on a run to end the first half, went up 2, and then we just held on to it. And it was 64-62 was the final score. So not our normal score line there, but we grinded it out. At the end, we missed free throws, which made it even closer. But I really think the team this year is just finding a way. We have the talent. A lot of the chemistry, we've came a long way, but we still have a ways to go. But it's just being focused one game at a time. And, when that game day comes, figuring out whose day it is, what combinations are working, and finding a way to get the result we're looking for.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, playing a team that you played just a few days ago and then playing them in a close matchup then at their place and then turning around and playing them in another close matchup here. It's hard to beat a team once, let alone twice in a close matchup then. So when you played that close of a game just a few days ago, what did you learn from that game that helped you gut out this one again when you played Albany again?
It was really about just adjustments. We understood. We play a lot of 1-2-2 zone. We play pretty decent trapping defense. But they definitely figured it out on how to beat it, how to utilize their strong post player in the middle of that zone. So we just, figured out after that game what adjustments we were going to be ready to make them do something offensively, make them do something differently offensively. Then we also paid attention to our matchups that we could attack when we had the ball in our hands, and we really went more at the matchups, directly in the second game.
And when you come off of something like this, and you know how tough these teams are, and for those that don't know, when they see Bryant Stratton versus Bryant Stratton, to the eye, it's confusing, right? You see the same logo going up against each other, but Bryant Stratton with multiple campuses here. And I mention it because these games, from what I have seen, the Albanys and the Buffaloes and whatnot, they can make for some pretty intense matchups because you're not only in state, but you're also fighting with, it's the same school, but different. And so when you have this kind of bigger umbrella of Bryant Stratton College, and then you have these different campuses going after each other, do you feel an extra piece of that? Do you feel like your guys feel that these are games where there's maybe like a different style of bragging right? Do you get any sense of that?
Absolutely. It's kind of a conference in itself where you got the 4 New York Bryant Strattons, but everyone wants to be the best Bryant Stratton. And, it's always, you're playing for that sense of pride, and guys want to prove it. We definitely believe it. Obviously, Buffalo has a great program, and they made it to the national championship game, so those games are always very intense. But, yeah, the other, Albany, Rochester, those teams are extremely strong, too. So not only, are you matching up with a talented, good program, you're matching up with someone that wears the same logo, the same college name. So yeah, it really falls back to want to be in the best Bryant Stratton, and it adds to those competitive juices for sure.
Yeah, and your team at the time we're talking is 16-6 on the season. Have they exceeded your expectations? Do you feel like there's something that's been left on the table still? How do you view it?
I think we're, in terms of record, I think, it's always one game at a time, but I had a feeling we were going to have a really good record this year. A solid record. And again, right now where we're at, I'm happy with it. I'm not content. Like I said, we have a ways to go. It hasn't fully clicked where we haven't really, there's been flashes of those moments where, all right, there it is. But we really haven't consistently seen it yet. But that's what it's all about. We're at the end of the season. We're gaining some momentum, and hopefully, we get that consistency in the gel at the right time. And, the ultimate goal for the season is to get ready for nationals. So, still confident we're going to get there.
You brought the women's basketball team into life at Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse, their first ever head coach. And here you are on the men's side of things in your first season here. And we're talking about going to nationals. We're talking about the USCAAs coming up here. What can you say? What has it been about your coaching style, your message? What do you think is getting through? Why is it working that you've been able to take the women's team at Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse to nationals, and now, we anticipate, obviously, you taking the men's team there as well?
I think it just falls back to the vision that, we're selling to the kids from day one of being a nationally competitive program. And that just falls back to our athletic department and the athletics at Bryant Stratton. Obviously, our soccer teams have won national championships here, so it can be done. And, we instill that in our recruits when we're recruiting them, and when our players get here first day, it's about having those big goals, setting those expectations and those team standards to accomplish those goals. And, just holding guys accountable and, and chasing and pursuing that one day at a time.
Here at Clay Gagen-Sherman, the head coach of the men's basketball team at Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse, as the team moves forward here in this edition of the Bobcat Buzz for one more regular season game as they get set for nationals. For those who don't know, I've obviously experienced it, but there is a selection show, just like, people get excited for Selection Sunday with the NCAA tournament. There is a selection show for the USCAA. Bring us into that for those that may not know exactly how it happens in the USCAA.
Yeah, so there's a selection show. The top 8 teams in the country get selected to go to nationals and compete for a national championship. So that, they just start with the number one seed and they work backwards. And, it's definitely a super exciting event. We'll do something on campus with the athletes, and they live stream it. So we'll have the stream on a projector with a group getting ready to see, what seed we'll fall to. But, like I said, they just do a selection for the top 8 teams in the country to go to nationals and compete for that national championship.
And before that happens, we have the final game of the regular season coming up. As I mentioned, your trip down to the Philadelphia area, you and the women's basketball team, Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse, heading down for a business trip today. You have a game at 7 o'clock tonight on February 20th up against Cheney. I know that this matchup was postponed from the beginning of February. So bring me into the importance of playing this game and why you feel like this could be a good learning opportunity for your team right before nationals.
Absolutely. I mean, this is an opportunity to play a good team. They're solid. They have good size. They play a D2 schedule, so they play a lot of NCAA D2 teams. So their record doesn't necessarily reflect how talented they are. But it's, again, another opportunity to play a good team. We got a little tough trip ahead of us. So the adversity of trying to, just lock in when we get there and no excuses. Like it's game day. We have a job to complete, a mission to complete. So we lock in when we get there, take care of business on the court, and also to continue the momentum. We're on a 4-game win streak. That's the best streak of the season. We won 4 in a row earlier in the season as well. So, we just kind of talked. Let's after we lost to Buffalo, we said we had 5 games left for the regular season. Let's finish the season on our best win streak and continue that momentum into postseason play. So, we have to win today for that to happen. And again, it's just about getting the team to gel on another level, constantly growing, constantly getting better, constantly clicking. So we're peaking at the right time of the season. And, today's a great opportunity to do that.
Yeah, like you said, 4-game winning streak, the longest winning streak for Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse's men's basketball team so far this season. And before that happened, a loss on the road, Bryant Stratton College of Buffalo, 83-70. Like you said, they played, all the way to the end of nationals this past season. You've played them twice this season and lost to Bryant Stratton College of Buffalo. What have you learned from playing a team of that caliber that made it as far as they did, despite the losses, and that being your last loss of the season up to this point? What did that game do for you that switched around to a 4-game winning streak? And what did you take away positively from the games against Buffalo?
We realized that, and we knew this going in, that you can't help a good team beat you. And what I mean by that is we missed a ton of free throws. We turned the ball over. To beat a good team, we got to be dialed in on all cylinders. And, we talked about it after the game, and I think we've tightened it up and been playing a little bit sharper since then. But they're a good team, so you can't give them easy points. You can't give away easy points. So that was the major takeaway where we need to improve. You can't help a good team beat you. You have to just make them beat you by being better. And things that we did well in that game that we took away from it, we did some things defensively. We played with a little different zone trapping defense, a little different than our 1-2-2, and it seemed to throw them out of rhythm. It was the most stuck I've seen that team. Obviously, they responded and made adjustments, but we did some things defensively that we think we can really build off and have in our arsenal for the next time we see them, for sure.
That coming here from Clay Gagen-Sherman, head coach of the Bryant Stratton College men's basketball team, as they get set for their final regular season game on a 4-game winning streak and on a business trip to Philadelphia today. And the team with the most wins ever in Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse's history for the men's basketball program, 16 and counting. And before we hop out of here, you and I haven't done this in a while, so we're going to play a little bit of rapid fire. But I want to ask you this, Clay, before we get into that. Why are you having fun this season as a coach?
I just love my guys. We got a great group. They have good energy. And it's just been a lot of fun. I mean, they're just a great group that's a pleasure to be around. And, you know, they always keep you on your toes. They crack jokes, but it's about the guys. We got a great group, and again, they're a pleasure to be around.
All right, well, let's get into it. Couple questions apiece, rapid fire. You've been great about answering mine, so you get to put me on the hot seat first. Whatever comes to your mind, I have to answer it. No pressure for me. It's just live radio and live TV around the entire world. When you're ready.
All right. Oh, wow, I was not prepared for this.
That's the whole point of it. You can't be prepared for it.
I know. I don't like that. I like to prepare. What are your thoughts on Syracuse men's basketball program? Do they have a chance this season?
Yeah, I love the question because obviously coming up right after Clay, we're going to have my Q&As with head coach Jim Boeheim and veteran guards Symir Torrence and Joe Girard III. And then in hour number 2, Syracuse, in my opinion, great Otis Hill is going to be joining the show. So what do I think about it? I going into the last 6 games, I said, you have to, when you have NC State and Duke at home, you win those games, you move up, right? And I did the whole mathematics of where they are right now. Syracuse is the 8th seed currently if the ACC tournament started today. They can be the 6th seed, and people say, okay, Dan, well, that's better seeding, but why is it better? Well, because the matchups are more favorable, number one, because the 8-9 matchup in any situation is usually a pain in the tush, and then you have to play the number 1 team. If you are the 6th seed, you're in a situation where you're playing 2 of the lowest seeds in the conference and could be playing Georgia Tech again after they play them coming up here in the Dome. So it's not only good as far as matchup-wise, but you as a coach will understand this. If Syracuse is an 8 seed, they play the ACC tournament at noon. If Syracuse is a 6 seed, they play the last game of the night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So it's the difference of having all day to prepare and be ready for the game and get a full rest from the game before, or playing the next day first thing right at noon. For a basketball team, especially during the weekdays, that's not normal. So for Syracuse to have a normal schedule, more time to rest their body, heal, and be prepared, the difference between the 8 seed and the 6 seed is over 9 hours. So they need to get that. So that in and of itself is important. They beat NC State. They got to win against the top 25. And then you talked about it. We can't help good teams beat us. Syracuse helped Duke look like Coach K. And no offense to John Shire at all. They helped Duke looked like Coach K was on the sideline. This team was whatever and 20 some odd and 0. And that's not the case for Duke this season. They haven't been a ranked team a lot this season. But you lose by 22 to Duke, not because Duke was great, but because you didn't box out, you didn't play defense, you didn't put your hands up on defense, you didn't shift quick enough, you didn't have the sense of urgency on offense, you didn't run plays, you looked totally undisciplined and confused. And it's the same cut and paste from earlier this season. An undisciplined, discombobulated offense and a defense that doesn't do normal fundamental things to win games. Those are the things that are beating them this late in the season. They can't let that happen. Now you're going on the road to 2 of the top teams in the ACC, Clemson and Pittsburgh. You have to make waves and win at least one of these games. Then you have to beat Georgia Tech because they're not that good this year. And you have to beat Wake Forest because in the standings in the ACC, they've been right there with you. So if Syracuse wants any shot at a 6 seed, they have to take care of business in these next 4 games. Do I think they can make the NCAA tournament? Not unless they win the ACC tournament. Do I think that they can have a good end to their season? Absolutely. But to take a page from your book, I think that nobody has beaten Syracuse this year more than Syracuse University.
Fair enough. Yeah, I definitely agree.
So my question for you, Mr. Sherman, I'm gonna get away from basketball here for a second, and I know that I can't ask you this question because it would be too hard of an answer, so I'm not going to ask it overall, but your daughter Cleo, what is your best Cleo moment of the past week? So of the last 7 days of being a dad, what is your favorite Cleo moment of the last week?
Oh, that's easy. I mean, I guess not easy because there's so many, but after our game on Saturday, Obviously, her and Kate come to most games, but after the game, just came out of the locker room and she was running around on the floor, on the gym floor with the basketball, and she just beelined it straight for me when I came out of the locker room. But it's funny because Kate and I were watching film last night on the game, and we kind of just like fast forwarded to the end. Yeah. To the end of the game because I kept the camera on when I was in the locker room and stuff like that, and we were just watching her play, and it was just funny because she looked so tiny on a gym floor, just running around the court and everything. It was hysterical. But it was also, really cool to see because Alex brought his daughter there as well to watch the game, and they were just playing together the whole time. Obviously, Alex's daughter's a little older, but it was nice to see the two girls bond. So definitely my favorite moment of the week.
Yeah, well, that to me is an amazing moment, and she brings so many of those moments that I almost feel like eventually there's going to be a segment carved out on Wake Up Call called the Cleo Moment of the Week. I feel like we're getting there. What's your next question for?
I think so.
Yeah, what's your next one for you?
You know me, I'm going to probably bring it back to basketball.
All right.
I definitely want to hear your insight. Do you think Judah is going to return next year?
Do I? Okay, and here is my answer, and this is not a political answer. This is my answer, knowing the information that I know, living in the world we live in today of collegiate athletics. So to answer your question, I would tell you that should he? Yes. Will he? Typically, Syracuse players leave so early, and so to me,
change that though?
Well, and that's the thing. So here's the thing with Judah Mintz, in my opinion. I think that he is a raw, good basketball talent. I think he is still learning how to be a college basketball talent. And so what I mean by that is he's really good at basketball, and he can play probably against anybody on a court somewhere in a park, wherever you go in America. He can probably hold his own. I believe in that, and I love that. I love the raw talent, go to a park, you don't know the guys, let's play, strap up, get on the court, and go. But as a leader, I am waiting to see him take that. Now, granted, he is in a position, and one of our listeners said that was a good question, so I appreciate you asking it. He's in a position where he is learning, and there are moments like I laughed and kind of made a joke and appreciated at the same time the moment where he's got a guy bigger than him coming down the floor in transition, and you got a forward going at the basket, and he just waited for the guy stone-faced, and the guy goes up and he slapped the ball out of the guy's hand like he was just waiting for the moment, like it was easy. And the wherewithal of things like that, where it's like, get that mess out of here. Like, he knew what to do and when to do it. There are things about Judah that make me say, okay, I get it. I get why you recruited him. I get why you wanted him. I get his raw talent. But I want to see him become a leader. I want to see him take care of this team. I want to see the offense start to move in some type of orchestra and not just a bunch of instruments playing at the same time. So do I think he should come back? 1,000,000%. Do I think he will come back? It depends on who gets in his ear, because whoever has been talking over the years as agents to some of these Syracuse players and saying whatever, they say, oh, you're going to be a first-round pick, oh, you're going to be a lottery. A lot of those guys haven't been. So in Judah's case, I think it behooves Judah for his future to be on a Syracuse team that has a better record, is doing better things, and is winning games throughout the season, playing more consistently good and not occasionally great, and gets their way without question to the NCAA tournament without needing the ACC tournament. So I think another year does him good. I think he should come back. If you asked me at the beginning of the season, I would have said he's not coming back. If you're asking me now, I think there's a better shot he comes back now. And does NIL play a role? I do not like NIL being used as a bargaining chip.
Right.
But to be honest, in the world that we live in today, I don't like the bargaining chip. But do I think it could work in the favor of Syracuse? Absolutely. And do I think that maybe it can prevent Syracuse losing this raw talent so quickly like they've done in the past? I think so. So, I don't like NIL being used to lure people, but at the same time, can it work in this case with Judah? I think it can. Do I think he stays? As of right now, I would probably be 51-49 that he stays.
Right, yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I hope he stays, though. I feel like he's consistently grown this season, and like you said, it stinks to see him leave so soon before they really have a chance to go, make a run at it. Because I think if they keep these freshmen, and everyone can return, right? Jesse and Joe have another year.
Yeah, so Jesse and Joe have the COVID year, so they are seniors, but they do have the opening to return if they wanted to.
Right, so it'd just be nice to see them make like a legit run at it after this team's been, just keeping the team together a little bit longer.
Yeah, and I think, kind of, you didn't ask, but to add this to it, I think feet to the fire right now, there's a better chance that Joe returns than Jesse.
Okay.
Not that Jesse won't. I just feel more comfortable saying Joe, yes. Jesse, we'll see.
Right.
Because
that'd be interesting.
Because I think Jesse, no matter what, knows that he can have a career overseas. So, does he want to do that now, or does he want to wait? Type of thing. We'll see on that. My question for you is: if you were coaching Syracuse Orange men's basketball, what would you change about what they're currently doing this season?
Ooh, okay. I think I would. I really like the press. I like the pressure. I like that athletic young lineup that they go with. I think I might ride with that a little bit more. And obviously at the D1 level, you've got to change things quicker. But I really like the speed and the athleticism aspect to that, especially that young recruiting class. I would probably try to play a little bit more pressure defense, more man-to-man. I think I'd utilize Symir in that. And I would, again, it's all depends on how you're trying to play, but I think I would, change Girard's role slightly. I mean, he would probably come off the bench for me, just with that style of play, which I know is probably a hot topic. But yeah, I think I'd utilize the athleticism they have, because I think they have such a quick, athletic, dynamic group with a lot of length. So I think I would, lean on that a little bit more. But obviously, if I could teach the 2-3 like Boeheim, I would definitely rock with that as well. All
right, I like it. You would make changes, but at the end, you gave a little, I'm going to leave you alone, Boeheim. So,
if it's not broke, don't fix it. But.
Yeah. All right, final one. You get one more, I get one more. Give me the last one.
Oh, okay. Let me see. I know it's only February, but what are your biggest goals, aspirations, for the rest of this year?
I love the question. I got to answer this question in a way last night, and I would tell you that I got to ask, what do you want to do? Like, what besides broadcasting, what's on your mind? And what's really been on my mind a lot lately, and I know that you know it, and I know people that listen and watch the show, they know it, is that comedy is such a big part of what I do. So, and it's in my daily life, it's in pretty much all my conversations I have every day, and it's in the show. So I would like to find a way to bring my stand-up comedy to the forefront, and I'd like to bring it up and let it grow and let it live and let it do its thing, because there's a lot of things that I have to talk about. There's always a message to what I'm talking about, be it relationships or be it things that I observe in society or whatever it may be, or things that I stand for. There's always a deeper message and a moral and let's come together type of message. And so, I feel that I like the challenge of being up on a stage and bringing comedy, just like being on a stage and bringing sports, because the message of laugh, be lighthearted, you're going to get through this, it's going to be okay. Let me tell you about my crazy ex-girlfriend so that you feel safe at night, knowing that you're not the only one that has a situation like that. So, I mean, I try to find that way of reaching out to people and saying, hey, don't jump, don't give up, don't think it's, this is forever. We all deal with crazy people at work. We all deal with, situations in relationships. We all drive in the car and look at someone like they're an ostrich and are like, this is not a human being. Like, what is this? So I want to bring that comedy and kind of my way of talking about tough topics in a funny way that will hopefully get people to think and maybe get people to come together a little bit better. So I would say comedy's in there. I definitely would like to start acting and screenwriting and doing some things. I would really like the opportunity. And I know you said this year, but I don't care. I mean, I would love the opportunity to work on a Marvel movie. I would not disappoint. And I would definitely bring an element to it that they don't have. And there's a lot of stories I have to tell. I've been a storyteller since I was 5 years old. I've had an imagination my whole life. And I don't think that Marvel or whoever would hire me would go wrong in that sense. So I definitely would tell you that I want to continue to create in this year, be it comedy, be it, a movie or screenwriting or something. But I would like to show people that there are so many more layers to the layers that I've already shown. And there's so much more. Basically, whatever you think this is just the tip of the iceberg.
I love it, man. I love it. Big goals, and you can do it. No doubt.
I appreciate it. And Clay knows I got a lot of crazy people to talk about. So,
myself included.
So my final question for you is, if I was doing stand-up comedy today and the show was going on, A, would you come? And B, what are you hoping I talk about?
Ooh, of course I'd come. A, of course. B, what would I? Honestly, everything. Like you said, you got the crazy X stories.
Yeah.
I think you got a ton of content. So honestly, whatever came to your heart, because I feel like once you get going and you get your heart set on something, you see that passion come out. So whatever comes to your mind, comes to your heart. Because at that point, I know you're going to be passionate, and I'm going to be laughing hysterically in my seat. So,
yeah, well, I appreciate it. I will tell you that I did have a conversation within the last couple days, and I didn't expect this at all. But we were talking about a topic, and I got going on it, and it led to a thing, to another thing, and then another thing, and they just started laughing, and they're like, "Wow, like you are really passionate about this." And I said, "Yeah, I am. It needs to change, and I need men to know that it's okay to ask for this." So, it's just, it was my way of, speaking about things and what I consider to be the biggest issues in America today, one of them being egg prices. So we had some fun with it and always have a good time. But yeah, I mean, I feel that comedy, I mean, it's the way that I have healed. I've healed through so many things in life, and I've used comedy to be able to go back to that graveyard and to not be afraid of ghosts. And so, I think that can help a lot of people to, expel their demons and be okay. And it is funny and it is exciting. One of my friends said to me, well, I was thinking about doing this, so let me tell you this really quick because I want to know what you think. So I am thinking, I don't know when, but like down the road, I'm thinking about having a roast of me. And so having people come up, because the best thing about the roast is that I think that I know what people are going to say. And in knowing the topics I think my friends are going to go to, that I can kind of prepare myself for being ready for that stuff. But the best thing about having a roast is at the end of it, I get to go up. And so I get to take everything that people have said for whatever, an hour, and then I get to come back and have my piece. And so, I've already talked to a couple of my friends about where I think they're going to go and how I'm going to respond. I also put some people on alert that I know some of their history, and I'm going to be digging really deep. So, yeah. So
I'm going to miss that one then. I might not get that one.
You might be in the crowd, but not on the stage. So,
Yeah.
But with that being said, Clay Gagen-Sherman here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. In this edition of Bobcat Buzz, Bobcat Buzz is exclusive to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora in our multimedia marketing partnership with the Bryant Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse. They are on the road, and tomorrow morning you'll hear from Tay Baker, the women's basketball head coach, and here you've heard from Clay Gagen-Sherman of men's basketball at Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse. The team has 16 wins in the regular season, the most ever for the school in its history, and we're looking to make that 17 before nationals. Clay, as always, I appreciate it, and I thank you for your time. Please travel safe, and I will absolutely be paying attention to what's going on with the game tonight, and I look forward to a hopeful W getting added to that column once again.
Thanks so much, Dan. Have a great day.
All right, take care. That coming from Clay Gagen-Sherman here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here, like I said, as always, and can't thank you enough for being a part of the show here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. So I hope you are having yourself a wonderful morning. I hope you're laughing in your seat and having a good time. Greg's got some words coming in here. What'd he say? He said, stand-up comedy has to be one of the toughest things to do successfully. Open mic nights are hopefully right around the corner for DT. So, yeah, man, I mean, the thing is that, you test comedy out, and I do that with all different types of people. I do that with people that have different religions, different beliefs, different morals, different history, different dating history, as well as, different politics. And not that I get into politics in the comedy, really. I might touch on certain things overall, regardless of party, that I think are wrong. But, I like to, and old and young, I like to see, did my grandmother laugh at this joke? Do my parents laugh at this joke? Do my older nieces and nephews, do they laugh? The ones that are in college that hear some of these things, do they find it to be funny? So, I've tested things my whole life, and I'll never forget sitting at the table, and my cousin Christina said to me at my kitchen table growing up, I was 10 years old. And she goes, when are you going to do... I was probably older, but it might have been that she first said this when I was 10. But she said, when are you just going to do it? Like, when are you just going to do comedy? Like, why are you waiting? Why don't you just do it already? And so, I'm working to find my journey to that and how that can all come together. Like I said, I put it on the show, and I appreciate it on the show, but there's so much more off the air that you don't hear, and and we have a really good time with that. Isaac Elford, that does Tortora and Elford here on Wake Up Call with me. Isaac and I have spent many days, just kind of back and forth, and the same thing with my buddy Ross and my buddy Joe. And Rob, and we all just kind of Nico, Miguel, we sit down, we talk about it. My parents, I let them hear some stuff, and we have a good time. So I think that ultimately it is definitely a part of my future, and I'm looking to God, as I always do, for the guidance of how, when is it the right thing, and how do we make that come about in life, because it is a passion of mine. It's a huge passion of mine. I love seeing people have a good time, and I love being a part of that, right? I love doing something that inside of them reaches in and kind of tickles, that funny bone, and gives them an opportunity to have a better day, or to make a good day better. So, I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see where it goes. With that being said, we are going to take a step aside on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. We will be back momentarily to hear my Cuse one-on-ones with Jim Boeheim, Symir Torrence, and Joe Girard III. And also coming up in just a little bit, you'll hear from Otis Hill on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora.
In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, hanging out with you where sports truly meets that thing called life. I hope you're having yourselves a fantastic morning this morning, making the most out of your day. I'm so happy that you're spending the time with us as well here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. So can't thank you enough for that. Really appreciate you being here with us on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, where sports meets that thing called life. And, of course, with us on all of our downloadable podcasting platforms where you can connect with the show. So, however you connect with us, make sure you find us on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, MixLR, Player FM, Podbean, Podvine, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube. Get out to any one of those, and for free, you can find Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora by searching Wake Up Call DT or Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, all spelled out. So however you connect with us, thank you so much for being with us where sports meets that thing called life. With that being said, we're going to jump right into my conversations with the Syracuse Orange men's basketball team following their loss 77-55 to the Duke Blue Devils inside of the ACC. So those conversations start off with head coach Jim Boeheim in our Q&A after the game and his thoughts on the team. So we're going to get into that. First and foremost, this is what Jim Boeheim had to say when I had the opportunity to speak with him following the game in which the Syracuse Orange fell by 20-plus to Duke at home in front of the largest on-campus crowd of any school this season.
Jim, your take on Malik at this point is what you're taking away from Brown inside.
Yeah, he's a steady player. He does what he does. Plays defense, he rebounds the ball, finishes around the basket. He'll get better there. He had some opportunities tonight. He just couldn't quite finish, but he's a steady player. He gets, steady numbers. We need to get something out of the three position and from Jesse. Those are the two things offensively we had.
Yeah, Jim Boeheim once again talking about Malik Brown, a freshman on the team, being a steady player on this team as he has been able to get himself rebounds and points in the loss to Duke. Almost a double-double here, 6 points, 8 rebounds, 5 of those offensive rebounds, which if you're a Syracuse fan are slim at times to come by. So Malik Brown with 8 rebounds, 6 points, 2 assists, and a steal in this game, as well as a block in the matchup. He did have 3 turnovers, but across the line here, did a bunch of things and played 30 minutes of the 40 allotted minutes in the game. And we know that Malik has found his way into the starting lineup with the transitioning of Benny Williams' role as this season has gone on. So, definitely taking a look at all of this, seeing Malik Brown. And I like that. I like that Jim, had some positive things here to say about Malik. He did say, obviously, we have to find something out of the 3. We need to get something going out of the 3 position, the small forward, and Jesse, with Jesse being shut down by Duke. And he had said, when teams are overly physical with Jesse, he struggles, and like he did in the Duke game. So he wants to see a change in that. Coming up next, my one-on-one conversation with veteran guard of the Syracuse Orange and a Central New York native, and that being Symir Torrence here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Here's my conversation with Sy.
Losing this game by 22 after having the lead at a point in the first half. What do you take away from that second half and just what didn't go in your direction?
Yeah, they just outplayed us in every aspect of the game. 50-50s, rebounds, fast break situations, you can name it. We just didn't come ready to play today, and that's on the seniors. We got to be more focused and got to come ready next time.
Offensively, it seemed disjointed at times. Do you feel like there's something to learn from this game as far as maybe running some plays or setting some screens and creating opportunities for guys?
Yeah, I think we just got to be patient. Shots were coming to us, they weren't falling. I felt like a lot of shots were forced. But yeah, this is all a learning experience, a learning game. We still have a lot of room to improve. We still got 4 games left, and then the ACC tournament at that. So we're not worried. We're not going to get too down. We're just going to come ready to fight like Kun said.
Is there a sense of urgency when you have those 4 games left?
Yes,
for the ACC?
For sure. We know that these 4 games they need to be winnable games. And every game's a winnable game. So we just got to come in with the attitude that we can beat every team in this league.
When you have your next 2 games being on the road against Clemson and Pitt, knowing that these are 2 of the top teams in the ACC, just to kind of let this one go and move on to those, just what it means to go out there and be able to play them tough, and if you get those wins, to make a statement, not just in the ACC, but in college basketball in general, knowing that the two games that you have aren't just ACC games, but they're teams that have been at the top of the ACC.
For sure. And road games are going to be tough, but we've been here before. We won road games in the ACC. I think we can do it again against Clemson. That's our next opponent. I'm not really worried about Pitt right now because we don't got them until next week, but we're going to give it everything we got come Clemson, and looking forward to win.
Like you said, the veterans, you put it on you guys for this game. How would you describe this team, having seen it, grow and have different pieces, a lot of the new pieces come in this season at this point in the season? How would you describe the team? What are some words that maybe fit where the team is at?
Yeah, I think we're still fighters at the end of the day. We're not going to give up, no matter what the score was or how bad we're playing. We have a bunch of we have a bunch of fighters on our team, and we got guys that's ready to go. So,
final note: fans showed up, the largest on-campus crowd in the nation, over 31,000, by far the biggest crowd this season. What do you want to say to them despite the loss?
Appreciate you guys coming out and showing the love. I don't want to say sorry, but it didn't turn out our way. We'll be ready next time.
That coming from Symir Torrence, we'll be ready next time. He says and there's going to be a couple more home games coming up here at the end of February going into early March. Syracuse will take on Georgia Tech, and then they will take on Wake Forest to end out the regular season at home before they step forward into the ACC tournament, which this year is going to take your DT down to Greensboro. So, definitely looking forward to these next few games. Again, Syracuse has some statements to make. Clemson's been at the top of the ACC. Pittsburgh's been at the top of the ACC. These are huge games, and not only are they huge games, but they're on the road. So they're big games in and of themselves against who you're playing seeding-wise, and then you add into it that these games are on the road. So this could definitely be a momentum booster and be huge for Syracuse to turn some heads and create themselves a better resume. So we'll see what Syracuse could do here. Like they said, it's about the game ahead of you, and the next game that's coming up here is going to be Syracuse going up against Clemson, and then Syracuse will take on Pittsburgh. So two massive games. Believe it or not, did you ever think that the ACC would be led by Clemson and Pittsburgh? You'd probably tell me no, but that is the case here in 2022-23 season. And coming up next is Joe Girard, the veteran guard, and his thoughts on Syracuse coming off of the loss to Duke.
Well, you and Judah accounted for 39 of 55 points in this game. Just what you could say about the offense did struggle in the matchup, but you and Judah were able to account for most of it.
Yeah, I mean, it was tough. They were tough defense, tough kids. They played us physically, and we just got to be ready and more prepared for it.
What can you say about where the team is at this point? I mean, you're one of the veteran guys on the squad, and a lot of new faces as we talked about this season. Where is this team at? What are maybe some ways to describe the team right here, right now?
I mean, we're fighters. This is just a bump in the road, and we got to be positive and move forward from it. Get ready for the next few games. They're obviously going to be tough, and kind of the same situation.
When you see the fans show up the way that they did, over 30,000, by far the biggest crowd, what do you want to say to them despite the loss?
Yeah, I really appreciate it. I mean, obviously we wanted to get them more involved and play a little bit better just so they were more involved in the game. But it was awesome for them to show out. Obviously, it's a great environment, and we had a lot of fun. But, obviously you want to win.
Is it in your head when you see that you and Duke are 9-6 in the ACC coming into this game, knowing that obviously the ACC tournament's a few weeks away, so you had the opportunity in this game to potentially move up? Is that kind of in your head that you know that there's some things within your reach, and in a game like this, there could have been a transition of seeding?
Yeah, I guess. We're just focused on playing and practicing. Let the coaches think about that kind of stuff. But it's up to us to just go out there and play and compete every night and try and win games.
How are you assessing your game at this point this season?
I think I've done pretty well. I'm obviously just trying to be a better leader for these guys. We're a little young team, but at this point, we all just got to keep fighting, competing. So just trying to be a good leader, and I think that's the most important thing for me.
What's the message that you would say to the rest of the guys right now as one of the leaders?
Just keep fighting, keep your head up, turn the page, move on to the next few, and every game counts because anything can happen. You know, you got to be positive, you got to come to fight, ready to fight, and be positive.
That coming from Joe Girard III. You got to come ready to fight every game, and you have to be positive. And I would turn that into life and say you got to come to fight every single day. That doesn't mean fist fight people. That doesn't mean be mean. It means you got to come to be ready for what is going to be on the other side of you every single day. Meet it with confidence, meet it with strength, and meet it with positivity, because that's how you win. You win when you meet life with strength, confidence, and positivity, and being as prepared as you possibly can be. So definitely appreciate having the gentlemen on the show. I want to thank Joe Girard III, Symir Torrence, and head coach Jim Boeheim for being a part of today's broadcast of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora as we peel back the orange. We will continue to peel back the orange momentarily as Otis Hill will be joining me on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, one of my favorite and should be one of your favorite Syracuse Orange players of all time.
Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student-athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. This is a special message from 317 at Montgomery restaurant owner Joel Carpenter. Open Tuesday through Saturday for your dining pleasure on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York.
We wanted to be a part of the resurgence of Syracuse. We saw a lot of money being put into bringing people back downtown and thought that, we'd like to be a part of that. I love putting together a good dish where people see it first, they fall in love with it, and then it tastes just as good as it looks. We want to provide the best food in Syracuse that we possibly can, and we want you to leave here talking to your family, your friends about what you had to eat first and foremost, but also our service, and to walk out feeling like you're part of our family. I work out in the front of the house a lot, and I love walking to every single table, asking them how everything is, and people looking at me and smiling and saying, this is the most amazing short rib I've ever had. This is the most amazing filet I've ever had. And Donna is great. Sarah's amazing. Thank you for coming over and talking to us. And them just being truly happy for the experience that they've gotten.
317 at Montgomery Restaurant, part of the fabric of downtown Syracuse, located on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York. Open Tuesday through Saturday for a unique and memorable dining experience.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, hanging out with you where sports meets that thing called life. I appreciate you being here every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Can't thank you enough for letting us be a part of your weekday mornings and for all of our special engagement shows that we do out at the Wildcat Sports Pub on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York, at Pizza Man Pub out on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville, New York, at the many Cafe Kubal locations around central and upstate New York, and of course at Avicoli's on 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York, the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road. So all the things that we get to do and everywhere we got to be. We've been out to PB&J's Lunchbox, we've been out to Monpa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. We do a lot of fun things out at Witty Wicks as well. So I want to thank everybody for however you connect with us and how you've seen the show and what you've come out to do. Obviously, we do our shows from Mother's Cupboard to Table at Mother's Cupboard. We do the Light Between Us at Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay. The North Country Spotlight has started at Chick-fil-A Watertown. And Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Canine Campground Dog Boarding are segments that we always bring to you and the things that we love to do with them. And obviously, Great Lakes Honda City, who I trust with my vehicle more than anybody else. In Carvel, where we have our own ice cream. And now at Mother's Cupboard, where we have our own sandwich called the Cuse McMother, and I went out and got it yesterday morning. Bacon, egg, and cheese, and French toast as the bread to the sandwich. You can cut it up and eat it with syrup, or you can just pick it up and eat it as a sandwich. I want to thank so many people. The sandwich was released to the public on February 15th, this past Wednesday, and it's already had an amazing opening at Mother's Cupboard, where it's exclusive, 3709 James Street in Syracuse. And I know on game day, so many of you ordered it. And then, obviously some orders definitely went in yesterday too. So just a few days old and people love the sandwich, and that humbles my heart. So thank you for that. With that being said, Syracuse Orange men's basketball alum Otis Hill is on the show. I mentioned the sandwich because when this man finally gets his tail to Syracuse, we're going to go out and do a little tour. I feel like when Otis comes to Cuse again, then obviously we got to hang out. We got to do some things together. We got to get out to Mother's Cupboard and have some fun, because owner Pete Green, I'll tell you this, will love the fact that you're there, Otis, and beyond that, as I tell people all the time, and I said last night when I was talking to some people, I said I love having Otis on the show, not just because I love him as a basketball player, not just because of what he did at Syracuse, but because every time he comes on the show, I know I'm going to have some of my best laughs of the week. So I appreciate that.
Hey, Dan, good morning. I appreciate that. And we definitely going to have to go out. I'm going to have to show my face. I haven't been to the Cuse in a while, and I got some really good friends and family, such as yourself and some other people that I really need to go see. So, yeah, we definitely going to make a day of it.
Yeah, so I'm excited about it. I'm happy to have you here this morning. I look forward to that coming up here. So, I'm here to talk about a very simple subject, a tame subject, one that not so many people are really passionate about. It's called Syracuse basketball, if you've heard of it. And, and this Duke game, not a big deal, 22-point loss. Fans were pretty level-headed, right? They stayed there the whole time. If people don't know what it means to be facetious, I hope you look it up today. But I'm here this morning to talk about the fact that Syracuse had, believe it or not, had led in this game at one point, had done some good things, got it down to 9 in the second half, and the game blew up into a 22-point win. I'm gonna start this off, Otis, by saying something. I don't know, and I didn't put this out on social media because I didn't want people to go crazy. I was coming out of the media room. The Duke players were in the tunnel, and they were doing their, let's get ready to walk out. And so they're talking with each other, and then 1, 2, 3, go, 1, 2, 3, go team, 1, 2, 3, Duke, that you expected. They said 1, 2, 3, and I believe what I heard from standing right there next to them was 1, 2, 3, F 'em. And I was like, if y'all didn't like Duke before, you really don't like them like this. So I would love to for you to tell me in the huddle, did Syracuse ever do anything like that? Did y'all have a 1, 2, 3, kill them, F them, this, that, whatever? Because my ears heard what they heard. And I just remember coming out of the tunnel, born and raised in Syracuse, going, oh, so it's going to be like that. So I'd love to get your thoughts on that.
Oh, man, we never did anything like that. For us, it was more about, just the Cuse. We were worried about us. We weren't worried about trash talking or none of that. But I tell you what, if I had been an assistant coach or somebody related to the team, I would have went in the locker room and I would have used that. This is how they feel about you. And to be honest with you, Duke they kind of showed us that. They didn't show us any respect. I really think Duke, that's how they really felt, and they came in that game thinking, F them, we're going to beat them.
And the thing is, when, getting into the game itself, I don't feel, and this is to take nothing away from John Shire, and it's to take nothing away from Duke, okay? This is a team that hasn't been ranked for a bunch of this season. This is a team that has not been in the top 5 of the conference for a minute. They had the same record as Syracuse in the ACC when they came into the game, which I feel like a lot of people didn't know. But Syracuse and Duke coming into the matchup on Saturday were both 9-6 in the ACC. So, that was a huge game as far as Syracuse moving up or Duke staying where they are. So you got 2 9-6 teams. So Duke might think whatever they think of themselves, but the records inside of the conference were the same. I didn't see a punch down, drag out Duke. I didn't see a shoot lights out Duke. I didn't see a, oh my gosh, in the middle, nobody can stop Duke. I saw a team that was, all right, okay, not bad, middle of the road in the ACC, but I saw a Syracuse team that made them look great. There were times, and I said this during the game, I said, the way Syracuse is playing right now, I thought Coach K was on the sideline. I thought this team was like 22-1, and it was just and again, not to take anything away from John Shire, it's just in the coach, and not that he can't get there. In the Coach K years is what I'm saying. We expected Duke to be dominant. Duke coming into the Dome, and that dominance is something that fans get electrified for. I didn't see a dominant Duke team. I saw a Syracuse team that was just not doing things that were in their control. And so, to me, Otis, I'd love to get your thoughts on this. How you saw Duke. Did you think that they were punch down, drag out? Or was this more of looking at Syracuse saying, you played your way out of this game?
I got to go with the second part of that. I think we played ourselves out of that game. I watched the first half, and we were in it. We were playing well. We were getting some steals. We were getting some baskets down low. And then all of a sudden, I think it was probably 4 minutes left in the first half, and we went down 12, 15.
Yeah.
I didn't see that urgency. I didn't see that aggression. I didn't see anybody pushing guys around. Let's go. We got to get back into the game. And when you watch, like you said, I've been watching Duke this year, and they don't seem like that powerhouse and that great Mike Krzyzewski's teams. They look like an okay team, just like you say.
Yeah.
But when they played us yesterday, they were hitting shots. They were dunking the ball. They were blocking shots. It kind of looked like you said. It kind of looked like Coach K. Coach K's spirit was on the floor.
Yeah.
Syracuse shot them. We shot ourselves in the foot by not doing the small little things that need to be done. We didn't box out. We weren't aggressive on screens. We let easy layups go in. I mean, there was a time where I saw a guy. He had to be maybe 5'9", 5'10", go and take an easy layup, and he wasn't on the floor.
Yeah.
And that's one thing, I'm not saying that our team was way better than this team or they're bad, but if I'm losing to Duke or anybody, and you're going 1-on-2 with me, and you're gonna make a layup in my face, I'm gonna try to put you in the bleachers.
Yeah.
And I just didn't see that at all.
Yeah, and I can appreciate that. And we talk about it all the time, the lack of physicality, the lack of, just guys not doing that, and allowing these easy lay-ins. My frustration comes from, and you can say it over and over again, but what's the definition of insanity? When they go up there and they say, well, Jim, you guys are getting out-rebounded. You don't get long rebounds on three-point shots. But whoever you play against gets long rebounds on three-point shots, and sometimes the rebounds are easy. The guy's just looking at the ball the whole time. It comes off the basket, and he gets it, and Jim will say, well, it's hard to rebound in a 2-3 zone, and my response to that is, well, then why are we in it right now in this moment? Because so many times we have seen these offensive rebound, and the thing with me, when I watch these games and I take it all in, as somebody who grew up playing basketball, who knows this game, who has studied this game, and people can say whatever they want. You weren't a D1 player, you're not a head coach of D1, say whatever. I tell you right now, I know this game. I love this game so much. I can coach this game. I could coach this game to 3-year-olds. I could coach this game to guys in their 20s. I know the game because I love the game. And I was not the kid that the coach was like, oh, yeah, that's my guy. I'm going to put him out there, blah, blah, blah. I had to do everything in my power and then some to get on the floor. And so studying the game, understanding the game, knowing the defense, being the only guy putting my hands up in a 2-3 zone like I see Joe Girard III do. He's got his hands up, he's got his hands out, and everybody else is standing there. If you are in a zone, and not every time, some guys put their hands up, but I'm just saying this. If you are in a zone, folks, this is what you need to know. In a zone, it is very simple. You have to put your hands up and you have to put your hands out. Think about it as a song. Maybe Jim should play this in practice. Maybe he should play the song Shout in practice. Because the song Shout, put your hands up, shout, you know what I mean? Maybe we need to have that in practice. Maybe we need a little bit of that Wedding Crashers intro, right? Where we got to see that because the thing is, the two things that Syracuse is not doing on defense are both in that song. You're not shouting to your teammates what's going on, and you're not putting your hands up. It's not just a wedding song. It's a defensive mentality. Shout, get your hands up. Shout, put your hands out. It's not happening. And when I see a 2-3 zone, there are obviously gaps. Because you are guarding an area, not a person. So when you're guarding an area, not a person, you have to put your hand in the passing lane. You have to put your hand up. If they pick the ball up, you harass the hell out of them. If whoever picks the ball up on there, your hands are up, your body is into them, you are creating a wall. If they're still dribbling, wherever they're going, you put your hands out. You try to block the passing lane. Kadari Richmond was really good at it. And continues to be good at it at a different school, unfortunately. I'm really passionate about this, Otis, because I knew if I wanted to stay on the floor, I had to be in my case, 5'8", be at the top of the zone and put my hands out, put my hands up. And I was guarding guys more often than not that were at least a head taller than me. So the way that I made myself as big as they are is by putting my hand up, putting my hand out, anticipating and learning their mannerisms so that before they went up to shoot, I would anticipate their shot and jump before they jumped, which would make me as tall, if not taller than them, in order to block the shot. This is not rocket science. It's called defense, and we don't see these simple things. It's not that the 2-3 zone is impossible to be successful. It's that a 2-3 zone is not successful guarding areas if you don't make yourself bigger with your body.
Absolutely. When we played, I know my assistant coaches when I was there was Tim O'Toole, Wayne Morgan, Mike Hopkins, and the one thing I know they always told me as the center of the team, you have to talk and get everybody on the same page. So if I'm in the defensive center position, I'm yelling to guys, hey, get your hands up, get your hands up. When you get your hands up in the zone now becomes a lot more difficult because now you don't have the easy passing lanes. When you are standing there and your hands are down, you can pass the ball to the foul line, you can pass the ball to the short corner. Boston College, my freshman year, killed me. They killed us with just movement and passing the ball. Why? Because our hands were down. And that's what I saw in the Duke game. They were getting the ball to the high post. The high post was like a point guard. He was either shooting it, dumping it down in, or getting the easy three. And once Duke started rolling, and we didn't make that adjustment, as the players didn't make that adjustment and get their hands up, they just made it easy. Duke was just out there shooting around. They didn't have a hard time on defense. You know, Judah was in the Mensa. He was getting in. I think he had, 4 or 5 steals?
Yeah, Judah in the game, to reflect on, because he had a good game in this one. Judah had 3 steals in the game, and he had he only had 1 assist in the game, but he did have 3 steals, and Jesse had 3 as well.
Right, and those 2 were getting their hands in the lane, and they were tipping balls. And the thing is, I don't understand, as a basketball player, it's getting down to that time where the committee is starting to really look at teams, and that was our goal. Our goal every year was to go to the tournament and go as far as we can, trying to win it.
Yeah.
Right now, they need every game.
Yeah.
And I'm really not seeing an urgency among the players. And I'm not saying anything bad about these young men. All I'm saying is there is no time to waste.
Yeah.
The NCAAs will be right around the corner. You want to get in, let's go. We have to win these games. But you have to do the little things to be successful and go as far as you can, and we're just not doing the little things.
Yeah, and I want to destroy this fallacy right now that you can't rebound in a 2-3 zone, because you were in the 2-3 zone, Otis. You were underneath. So, boxing, this is the thing. Yes, you're in a 2-3 zone, okay? But when the ball goes up, and correct me if I'm wrong, but when the ball goes, in a 2-3 zone, you are guarding space. You're not guarding a person, you're guarding space. But when that ball goes up, you grab a man, you find him, you reach out, and where they at, and once that ball goes up, whether you're in a 2-3 zone, a 1-2, a 1-2-2, a 1-2, whatever you are in, whatever is going on in a 2-1-2, whatever your defense is, man-to-man, once that ball goes up, you box somebody out. You find somebody. I don't know any time I've ever played in a zone where the ball went up and they said, whatever you got to do, you make sure nobody gets the ball. So I turn around, find somebody, put your butt into them, and get ready to jump up and grab that rebound. So can we destroy the fallacy of, Syracuse doesn't get rebounds because zones don't get rebounds? Because I think that's ridiculous.
You're absolutely 100% correct. When I was playing, Boeheim and Bernie Fine always told me, when you're in the zone, you have to watch the flight of the ball. Once that ball hits the rim, you put a body on that guy so he cannot get that ball. You want to make sure you box out. But you and I have talked about this.
Yeah.
Boxing out is a lost art among a lot of these new young players. And now in the zone, now you getting that long bounce from the three, and the guards are coming in to help, but now the ball's bouncing over their head. Because if they put a body on a guy, they could be in front of him and get that ball. I think it's just a lot of times this new age way of basketball, these kids don't really buy. I went to an AAU game, Dan, the other day.
Yeah.
And when I tell you, it was awful. And I mean, they had two players from Ohio and I think from Kentucky, high school kids who were like top in the nation. And I'm looking at these kids going, really? Top in the nation, and he can't get a rebound. He can't make a left-hand layup, but he's top in the nation.
Yeah.
It's just, it's absolutely ridiculous, some of the things that these kids don't do anymore. And I think the game has evolved in a good way, but there's also a lot of negatives in the game now.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and the thing about, boxing out, I don't know. I mean, like you said, it's a lost art, but to me, it's such a normal thing to do. And it was like whatever defense you were in, once the ball went up to the rim, every defense was the same. It was like whatever you were playing, like I said, 1-2-2, 2-1-2, 3-2, 2-3, man-to-man, whatever you were in, once the ball went up, you weren't in that defense anymore. Now you're just boxing out. You're doing whatever you can to get the ball. And how many times in this Duke game did I see the ball go up off the rim and fall in a dead space? And the Duke player was there. And the Duke, it was the ball would like bounce right to them. They follow their shot. The ball come out. The guy shoots a three. He stares at the ball the entire time, shoots a three, takes 2 steps into the lane, and the ball came right back to him, and he goes up with 2. And here's the thing. You're playing Division I men's basketball. I believe at any level, I don't care what it is, small college, at USCAA, NJCAA, Division I, 2, 3, doesn't matter. If you are out there playing the game, okay, and the ball goes up, and they miss it, not everybody has to be, well, talk about this year, Houston, Tennessee, Alabama, whatever you want to call it, not everybody has to be the best team in the country to know a very simple fact. If you are playing college ball anywhere, you're better than most. And if you're better than most, and y'all miss the first shot, and somebody gives you a chance for a second, third, fourth shot, it's going to go in. I know, if you look at the high percentage probability of a second chance point, to me, it's insane. And you take that first shot, all right, 50-50. If you're down low, maybe it's 80-20, maybe it's 90-10. But when it comes to a second chance opportunity, if you play defense well enough, or they just happen to miss, and you're playing whoever, I don't care if it's Georgia Tech, Duke, Clemson, Wake Forest, I don't care if it's Louisville at the bottom of the barrel this year, or Pittsburgh at the top, or North Carolina. I don't care who their guys are and who they recruited. If you let these teams get a second chance shot, you are playing in the ACC. You give them 2 or 3 shots per possession, one of them's going in. You give them one, and the thing is, why is it impossible? How many times does Syracuse come down the floor, shoot one shot? They shoot the shot, they start running down the court. I was taught, as soon as you let go of that ball, Dan, your tail better be running forward. I don't care how good you think it is. I don't care if that girl in the stand is clapping for you and you can't wait to go on your date after the game. I don't care what your mentality is. When that shot goes up, you are not out here being Prince. You are not Michael Jackson with a glove on. You better run your tail to that basket and make sure that ball goes in the damn hoop. Because until you see it go through the cylinder, you need to be under the basket.
You're right, and I'll tell you one thing that Bay used to do, and it used to drive me insane. But as I left college, I understood why he did it. When I would miss a rebound like that, and it would hit the dead space, and it happens, and I get it.
Yeah.
And it does happen, but it shouldn't happen as much as it's happening.
Right.
Boeheim would sub me out.
Yeah.
My freshman year, oh my God, I wanted to transfer. I was like, Coach, what am I doing wrong? And I think he had, I can't remember the guy's name, one of the assistants, but he had an assistant make a tape for me, a video for me. And I watched it because I was in disbelief. I was like, there's no way I'm missing that many rebounds. And I watched the tape, and I missed a bunch of rebounds. So I learned you better go after that ball or at least make an attempt or put a body on somebody.
Yeah.
Once I started putting bodies on somebody, you get more rebounds, and I wasn't getting snatched out of the game. So I definitely understand everyone's frustration. And I'm sure coaches frustrated. I'm sure the players are frustrated. But we got to go back to the basics sometimes. This new age basketball and everything is about offense. Yeah. Everything now is offense.
Right.
But where's the defensive presence at? If they can't score, they can't win. Or if you make it as hard as you can on that player, he going to have to work for those points. But guys are just getting easy buckets, and they don't even look like they're sweating.
Yeah.
So it's just, I can understand a lot of Faithful Orange's frustration. I really can. So I just hope these guys get a mentality of just being a bunch of dogs. Because if not, they're going to be going to the NIT like I did my senior year. And I really want to let them know that you do not want that. I hated that. That was one of the worst times in my life, especially after going to the championship game the year before. But now we're playing in the NIT.
Yeah.
No, sir. It was awful.
No, and Otis Hill, Syracuse Orange men's basketball alum, live on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora this morning inside the Cafe Kubal studios. I mean, Otis, you said it, and this is no offense to the NIT or the CBI. It's a consolation tournament. It's you're not going to win the prize, but you can play the game. Because the thing is, and you played it, I didn't, but this is how I feel. You could tell me if I'm wrong. If you won an NIT game, I feel like you went home that night and you turned on the TV and said, we ain't win nothing, because you're watching the NCAA tournament. You're watching March Madness. You might have won an NIT game, but you're not in the tournament. You're not in the actual game. You're playing this ancillary tournament out there in space somewhere where it's kind of like, put it like this. If the Avengers were fighting Kang, because Kang is the new villain. So if the Avengers were fighting Kang and you were fighting a guy who was made up of sticks, and you were on some planet in space fighting a stick guy, but they're saving the world on a different planet fighting Kang. And Otis is like, but I beat the stick guy. It doesn't matter. So, you know what I mean? It's like,
no, but you're right, because it was funny when we I can remember like it was yesterday. We were sitting there looking at each other, me, Ty Bergen, Jay Sapola. Like, man, I don't want to play in the not in it tournament.
Yeah.
Who wants to say? I think at the time, what was it, 68 teams?
Probably last at that time.
Yeah. So if you won, yay, we're the 68th best team in the country.
Oh yeah.
No offense, NIT. No offense, but I want to go to March Madness. I want to hear one shining moment.
Yeah.
I don't understand these like people being happy to play in the out tournament. What?
Yeah.
Like it's this, and it's a, I don't know if it's a society issue, because now we give trophies to everybody. I didn't want anything from the NIT, not even a shirt, because I knew what I experienced, and I knew we were a better team than what we played in NIT. We just waited too long my senior year. We got hot in the last 7 games. If we had done it in the last 10 or 12 games, we definitely would have been in it.
Yeah.
And I don't want these guys to have that feeling. And I don't want Coach to have that feeling, because he could say, oh, it was great to play in it. But inside, he's a competitor. Right. Coach Boeheim is one of the biggest competitors I've ever met. And you can't tell me that he's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to the NIT. Absolutely not.
No, and then you know what they say? They're like, oh, but Dan, if they get a good seed, Dan, they get to play a game at home, Dan. I don't care. It doesn't matter. I don't care. It's like playing an exhibition game. It's not. You know what I mean? It's not. And again, this is no offense to the people that run the NIT. This is no offense to the people that run the NIT or the CBI. It's no offense whatsoever. It's reality to the situation. Okay? If they said to you, Otis, you can go see Kevin Hart do his stand-up comedy tonight in Philadelphia, or you can see Schmevin Schmart do his comedy in Phil. I mean, it's not Kevin. It might look like Kevin. He might get up there, all right, but it's not Kevin. It's not Kevin. You know what I mean? And that's my problem. That's my problem with it. You know, I think Megan Good is gorgeous. Okay, I can say that because she's single now. Okay, when she had a husband, I had to keep my mouth shut. Okay, because I respect that, and I know what it's like to be married and have a woman not be in it to win it. So Megan Good is a gorgeous woman. If you told me, hey Dan, I want you to meet my friend Megan Good, and I showed up at the bar to meet Megan Good, and y'all brought me a Kardashian? No, I'll say it. No. You bring me a Kardashian? Number one, Otis and I know that. And listen, again, this is no offense. This is reality. This is based in factual statements. If you date a Kardashian, your career dies that day. So, you know, people say the Madden curse. Kardashian curse. How about this? How about they put Kim Kardashian on the front of Madden next year and see if both curses can blow up or who wins? Because I can't. But no, if you tell me Megan Good, Dan, wants to meet you downtown Syracuse tonight, and I show up and it's my ex-girlfriend that used to stare at the wall, we're going to have some problems. Because that's the NIT for me. That is the NIT. You know what? And you know what I'm talking about, Otis. You would walk in there and go, you are something else. You are something else.
Absolutely. But Dan, it's what, and people have to understand too. Syracuse has a tradition of some really good teams going pretty far in the tournament. You know, we won the one with Carmelo and Jerry and those guys. And people have standards, basically. I hate to say it, but people are used to a certain thing.
Oh, yeah.
And now it's been, well, we haven't gone that far in the tournament, or we haven't done this. And I hate to say it, fans in general are usually, what have you done for me lately?
Yeah.
And these kids, I'm not saying that they're bad kids or they're not playing hard, or, well, maybe they're not playing hard may come in, but they're purposely trying to lose. I think what it is, they have to get back to basics.
Yeah.
And for Coach, I know that has to be a huge mountain to climb with these kids, because these new age kids, Dan, I coached a couple of kids, was it 2 summers ago? Last summer. And when I tell you, some of the things that these kids were saying and doing, I was like, yeah, I don't need to be a coach, because somebody going to sue me and I'm going to go to jail for beating up somebody's kid.
Yeah.
I told the kid, I had a 16-year-old. I told him to set a screen, do a pick and roll, and just flash inside, you'll get the ball, we'll score. He looked me dead in my face and said, nah, I'm not doing that.
Wow.
And my assistant coach, who was a buddy of mine, grabbed me. I was like, nah, I ain't going to hit him. I was like, you go sit on the bench. Now, he was our top scorer. He was our top scorer on the team. I sat him. His dad wanted to fight me so bad. But what happened was, we had another kid who was pretty skilled, didn't have a big name. He listened. He ended up scoring 25 points.
Yeah.
The thing is, these kids have to understand, yes, it's flashy scoring. Yes, the three-point ball is great. Yes, the dunk is great. But what about taking a charge? What about fouling a guy hard when he goes to the basket, so he has to think now, if I go to that basket, I'm going to get smacked. You have to do the intangibles. And Boeheim And all my assistant coaches in Syracuse always preached that. And I never realized how important it was until I started playing professional basketball. And these kids have to understand it is the key. It is the basis and the key of winning these games.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and you look at it, you look at Boeheim's history. 47 years he's been coaching. This is year 47, folks. And looking at almost 5 decades of being the head coach of Syracuse Orange men's basketball, I believe, if my numbers serve me correctly, he has won at least 20 games as a coach, 41 of 47 times. Now, obviously, this season's still going on. They're 16-11. But 41 of 47 times. However, in recent history, he has not gotten to at least 20 in any of the last 4 seasons if it holds right now. 18-14 in 2019-20, then 18-10, then 16-17, currently 16-11, right? So this is and I don't bring this up to witch hunt Boeheim, I bring it up to your point. When you say people have expectations, the expectation of Syracuse, I'm going to say 2 things. And if Syracuse fans disagree with me, feel free to write it in. I'm going to put a poll out today. I'm going to put it out there on social media. I'm going to let y'all have an exchange. Respectfully, don't be witch hunting. Don't be screaming at each other. Don't disrespect each other, because those comments get deleted. You want to say something about Boeheim in a derogatory way, that comment gets deleted. You want to talk about your thoughts in a respectful manner, then we can talk about that. But we look at the expectation of Syracuse fans and what they have come to expect because of Jim Boeheim. This is what people forget. The people that get mad at Jim Boeheim are like, screw Jim, fire him, we don't need him anymore. But Jim is the one that created the expectations that are so high. And those expectations, there's 2 things in those expectations. 25 wins a season or more, Sweet 16 or bust. That's what it became, in my mind, from watching this team he's been a coach for 47 years. I've been alive for 37 years. So I've watched all but 10 of his things, because from a baby, I was in it to win it. So looking at this right now, and in my almost 20 years of being a broadcaster, looking at Jim Boeheim's history before me and everything during me, he created the 25 wins, Sweet 16. That's the mentality. People started to believe we're going to win at least 20, 25 games a season, more than 20 typically, and we're going to get to the Sweet 16. If we don't get to the Sweet 16, we suck. If we don't get 25 wins, we suck. If we're not an automatic team if we're not a team without question that's getting into the tournament and we got to wait on the bubble, we suck. So that's been the mentality for such a long time with Syracuse fans. And here's the funny reality of that is what I said. You want the man to get fired or retire that created the high expectations that you hold. So the same man you want to get rid of is the man that basically, without question, spoiled you for many, many years.
Right. Dan, it's such a complicated, but yet it's also an easy subject matter.
Yeah.
Because when you look at Coach B and you look at what he's done, his whole total body of work, like you said, the 25 wins, and the Sweet 16 appearances, I think people tend to forget sometimes that you're going to have rough years. But now, like you said, it's been 4 years we haven't had, the 20 wins, and we haven't had the deep run in the tournament.
Yeah.
But I know Coach, and I'm hoping that he's gonna pull off a huge recruit this year, get the team back in. But right now, nobody's thinking about that. Yeah. They want gratification right now. We want to go to the tournament. We want to win the ACC tournament. We want to win it all.
Yeah.
I hate to tell them, unless this team has a dramatic change in the next week, I don't see that happening right now.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you.
It's just like you said. It's hard because people ask me all the time, Otis, don't you think Boeheim should go? And I'm like, he's gonna go when he's ready. Yeah. Just like when Dean Katie was ready.
You say the same thing I say. I tell people this all the time. They said, "When's Boeheim going to retire?" And I tell people this all the time. I said, and this is not me wishing this on him at all. I do it. I want him to live to be 150. I tell people all the time, he's going to die in the chair. I mean, that's and what I mean by that is why do you think he's going to leave? He's been there for almost 5 decades. His children, I remember him talking about wanting to go see his kids play or being excited to see his kids play, and now his kids have played, they finished playing, they're all done. All of them are done playing. I mean, in the sense of college. Obviously some of them still playing pro, but it's like he was talking about going to a high school game or a JV game, and like when he was talking back in the day, it was like a buddy JV game, or one of Jimmy, or I'm going to go see Jimmy's game in high school. And now they're finished in college and he's still there. And I told people this a couple years ago. They said, "Dan, what's going to happen?" I said, "I can't pretend to know Jim Boeheim. He is a Rubik's Cube of sorts, but I will tell you this. One of two things, in my opinion. Either he leaves with his boys or he dies in the chair. I don't think there's any, I mean, they're like, how old is he now? I think he's around 78. But the reality of it all is he, like Brett Favre, he, like Carl Sanfilippo at Beeville in our community for the football team. Carl Sanfilippo looked at me and he goes, "Danny, what am I going to do? This is what I love." He said, "What am I going to do without, after football? This is what I do. It's what I love. It's what I want to be a part of. This is Jim Boeheim's life. This is what he does. It's what he's done his whole life." This guy went from playing as a kid to playing in high school to playing at SU to coaching as an assistant to becoming a head coach for almost 5 decades. The only thing that Jim Boeheim has done consistently in his life without question is play basketball and coach basketball. So what do you expect this man to do? And this is the thing. I get it. I get that fans are saying the 2-3 zone doesn't. I know it doesn't work all the time. I understand it's not made to work against teams that hit 3-pointers. I fully understand people's frustration with the 2-3 zone. I fully understand the frustration every time there's a moan and a groan when Syracuse doesn't get a defensive rebound. I understand the frustration of shot selection. I understand the frustration of not getting your hands up. I understand the frustration of going, did we call a play on offense? Are there plays on offense? I understand that frustration. On the other side of it, I also understand the fact that you are booing a Hall of Famer who, if he was anywhere else, you would hate him, like Coach K, like Roy Williams, like Rick Pitino, like John Wooden. If that guy, Jim Boeheim is in the upper echelon of people that when they come into your arena, you can't stand them for 2 hours. You can't deal with them. You can't. Dean Smith. There's people, and I put Rick Pitino in there not because Rick Pitino won an ungodly amount of games. I put him in there because he was a lightning rod, like John Calipari. But, when you look at the upper echelon of coaches, you look at Coach K, when you talk about wins, you look at John Wooden, you look at Jim Boeheim, you look at Coach K, you look at Roy Williams and everything that he's done. There's Dean Smith. You look at these coaches and you say to yourself, if they're your coach, you love them. If they're not your coach, you want them to retire. But Syracuse lives in this really weird world where they're your coach and you love them and you also want him to retire. So it's this confusing thing of like Duke fans going, "Oh, we don't have to boo. The Syracuse fans are booing for us." So, I just feel bad in the sense for Jim Boeheim to put my city on the map and to be one of the people that made sure Syracuse is known in Ghana, Africa, in, Sioux Falls, North Dakota, South Dakota, wherever, all over the world, that this man, in the Arctic Circle, people know what Syracuse is. And in Nova Scotia, people got S's on their chest. But at the same time, every game, without doubt, like clockwork, this game ended in the Dome, and right behind me, I was like, are these rumblings of a conversation that Jim Boeheim should get fired not even 2 minutes after the game? And it blows my mind because Were they saying that in Duke about Coach K? Were they saying that in North Carolina about Roy Williams? Did they say that in UCLA about John Wooden? Did they say it in North Carolina about Dean Smith? Has anybody been on a retirement watch more than Jim Boeheim?
Right.
I don't know.
You're 100% correct because, Dan, you know, it's funny. I can remember, who were we playing against my freshman year? I think it was Boston College. Boston College really knew how to effectively pick apart the zone. And I'll never forget, I think we lost by 9, and they started booing us. And I remember looking around, and Adrian Autry was like, yeah, big fella, this is the big time. They expect you to win. They expect us to win here. And I was like, wow, I just couldn't believe it. But as a player who is now a fan of the game as much as I am now, looking from the outside in, it's awful. It really it's awful. But fans want to win. And what cures everything on a team? Winning. So it's 50-50 all the way around because I really love Coach, and I think he's done an amazing job, and he's been there forever. And I think people are just thinking that it's time for some new blood. But I want to warn people. You and I both know. Look at Duke. Duke is not the Duke of old.
Yeah.
And after Boeheim leaves, depending on who the coach is, depending on what players you get, you can have a really awful year. Or years, depending on what Syracuse does after he leaves. So just don't be so quick. Just be a little patient with him. He might have 5 more years to.
Yeah, I love how you're laughing, but it's like Jim Boeheim, if he was gonna retire this year, hearing one person go, "You're washed up," he was like, "Well, I'm not retiring then." He's not gonna give you what you want. He's not going to give you what you want, okay? Jim Boeheim is the fly that no matter how many times you swatted him, he's going to go right for your eye. That's who he is. He does not back down. He told the NCAA, I'm going to be out in 3 years. Then 3 years hit and he said, haha, just kidding. Like no one's going to tell him when to go, tell him when to leave. That is who he is. He, not the university, and I got to tell you this, Otis, when he stood there and he said, people have this and obviously I'm paraphrasing, people have this misconception of me and this university. I do not control this university. I have no say in what happens. I am not the head of this university. And I went, okay. So but I mean, let's face it. That, okay, yeah, okay. There's a chancellor. There's an AD. Okay, there's also a Wizard of Oz. So, I mean, to me, that, and I'm not wrong, because when they turned off that Wizard of Oz thing and they went behind the veil, it was just a dude, and he goes, I know, leader, I'm just here. And that's what it is. Syracuse University is the Wizard of Oz, but the actual leader of Emerald City is Jim Boeheim. And people need to know that.
You are right.
Yeah,
Oh, man.
It's the truth. It's the truth.
It is. It definitely is. It's just, I know it's tough. Like, people look at sports writers and they say, well, why is he writing this? And why is he writing that? People have opinions.
Yeah.
And people want to see Syracuse do well.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're the worst reporter and you and Boeheim have had it out for years and he can't stand you and you can't stand him. But deep down inside, everyone who's involved with the Orange wants to see us win and do well. Yeah. And you can't be mad at that. You really can't.
Yeah. Well, and you bring truth to it because even the reporters that fight for the sake of fighting, they want to go to the NCAA tournament. Nobody wants to sit at home when it comes to March. Nobody wants to be watching. And so I get that and I feel that. And I do believe that. Even the meanest, nastiest reporter that will twist and turn the words. They want to go. And that's what I tell people all the time, because people steal stuff from me all the time. The media dogs me all the time. And I look at the rest of the media and I go, if I ever stop doing what I do, y'all would all be homeless. Because who would you steal from? I'm putting food on your table. You can say thank you, Dan, for feeding my kids today. You can say thank you for that. You're welcome, because you don't like that I'm on the teleconference asking questions every single day. Well, bro, those answers to the questions were in your story that you sent to your editor who gave you a paycheck. So with all due respect, where's my commission? Where's my cut? That's how I feel about it. And if I'm Jim Boeheim, I would stand up that podium and say, without me, people wouldn't read your stuff as much as they do. So you can hate me all you want to, but you're going to show up every day and you're going to hope I stand at this podium, because people pay attention to what Jim Boeheim said. And he knows that. He knows that people pay attention. Now, I have a good relationship with him. Him and I don't fight. We talk about stuff. And we talk about basketball. And people will say to me, Dan, why don't you ask him about the 2-3 zone? Why don't you ask him you ask him softball questions? No, I don't. I ask him questions about things that he's going to talk about and expand upon, because my job as a broadcaster and a person of the people is for me to get Jim to open up about things about the team that I want to know. I don't want to be the 752nd person that he screams at about the 2-3 zone. And so I tell fans all the time, if you want to get yelled at, work your butt off, get a credential, come into the post-game press conference room, and let Jim Boeheim rip you to shreds yourself. But the reality of it all is, it's not a hard-hitting versus a softball question. It's people wanting Jim Boeheim to lose his mind because they love the drama, and I'm not a dramatic person. So I asked him about Malik Brown. I found a positive in it. Malik Brown's done some good things. He's worked himself in the starting lineup. I'm going to talk to him about Malik. I'm going to talk to him about Judah. I'm going to talk to him about moments where Jesse got better. That's what I'm going to talk to him about. I'm not going to walk into the game and say, hey, Jim, Benny's the only guy that wasn't in the building today. Can you tell me why? Because any coach is going to go, I just played a game for 2 hours, and you want to talk to me about the only guy that wasn't here? Right. And let me tell you something about Benny Williams. Benny knows everything that happened from the media when he was not there, and it has changed him. So, it's like people forget. You are dealing with human beings. Dan, I just want to see Jim Boeheim lose it, and I want you to take the bullet for all of us. And I will tell people respectfully, I have a close-knit group of brothers that I will take a bullet for. But a random troll on social media, I ain't dying for you. Hell no. I'm not going to die for you. Yeah, but Jim, why don't you play the 2-3? Like, are you kidding me? I know Jim so well that when people ask him questions, I know I can feel the rumble of the earthquake. When I'm in that room and somebody asks a question, I go, oh, he's going to eat you. He's going to eat you right now. Like, there was one time I was holding my camera and I was like, I want to go home. I don't want to see this, because I feel like I'm witnessing a crime and I don't know if I should call somebody. Like, I've just, there are moments. CJ Fair played 4 years, and somebody sat there in his senior year and he said, hey, Jim, do you like CJ Fair? And I was like, oh, hell, I'm leaving. I'm not doing this. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't with Boeheim when he does it. I swear, somebody put up, was it last year or 2 years? I think it was 2 years ago. Someone had took a compilation of all his press game interviews. Yeah. Dan, if I could find that, when I tell you, he is merciless. He does not care. And I don't blame you. I wouldn't want to get in that line of fire either. Coach, I think I had, my dad had died, and I had came back that year, and I had a little situation, and I walked out of a game and walked home, and they were killing me. Even the Daily Orange, the school paper, they had a drawing of me as I think I was like a little kid, and they were like, Otis, you got to go home. And Boeheim stuck up for me like no other. Yeah. And you're right. He looked for those moments, for somebody in the press to say something stupid so he can give it to him with both barrels. He does not care.
No, and that's the thing, and that's what I want people to understand. I am not in there afraid of Jim Boeheim. I am not in there not asking hard-hitting questions. I am in there understanding, because this is what you have to, in order to be a good host, a good interviewer, you have to know the person you're talking to. And as my dad told me a long time ago, he said, Dan, this guy that's interviewing Jim Boeheim, watch him on TV. He has no idea how to talk to this man. He's not listening to him because he's trying to ask Jim these questions, and Jim doesn't want to talk about it, and Jim keeps telling him he doesn't want to talk about this stuff, and this is not what he's interested in, and the guy keeps pushing for it, but he's not. And if you turn around and you find what he wants to talk about, he'll open up. When I go into a post-game press conference, I want a coach to open up, feel comfortable, feel safe with me, and tell me their story. I have had over 3,500 people on this show, and I don't think I've ever had anybody come on this show that's like, oh, I'm never going back on that show again. I can't believe he said I can't. No, I talk to people to learn their story. So if you think, oh, Dan's not asking a hard-hitting question because he's afraid of, no, I'm not asking a question that I know the damn answer to. I'm going to tell you what Jim Boeheim will say. Hey, Jim, why do you play the 2-3 zone? I don't think it works. Jim will say to me or anyone, I have won over 1,000 games. You have won 0. Shut up. That's what he says. He said it before, and he'll say it again. That's what he feels. He's going to say, this is the defense I like to run. This is what I'm doing. Do I think Jim Boeheim hit you with the okie doke this year? I do. Because Jim said he was going to play man-to-man in 2-3 zone, and I sat back in my chair, and I smirked, and I was like, really, Jim? Really? And he didn't. He didn't. Why? Because he wanted, after 47 years, to make the people think they're going to get what they want. And then he turned around and said, F you, I'm the coach, shut your mouth. That's what he did. Jim hit you. And people they got hit so hard and so quickly. That was a Mike Tyson knockout. They are on the ground. They don't even know it's 16-11. They're still waiting for Jim to play man-to-man. It's not going to happen. Because Jim said, all right, you know what? I've tried everything else in the media, everything else with the trolls, everything else with the people that boo me. I'm going to tell you that I'm going to play what you told me to play 25 years ago, just to not do it and stand on the sideline that I've been on for 47 years and look you all in the face and go, I don't care how you feel, I'm the coach. That's what he did this year. He literally said, oh, you want man-to-man? We'll play man-to-man. Psych! That's what Jim Boeheim did.
Oh, man. Yeah, coaches learn, man. He's gotten a little bit better with the media. Because my freshman year, I used to just like, I used to cringe. Yeah, he definitely set you guys up with the pump fake. He definitely did.
He didn't set me up. I was like, really, Jim? You know, like... I knew. I was like, Jim Boeheim. I said, they say a zebra don't change their stripes. This zebra's stripes are branded on. There is no way that these stripes are changing in any way, shape, or form. I thought it was hilarious because I'm like a few games in and I'm going, okay, all right. You know, I just think it's fun. And I would love to, you know, get Jim aside one day and like he retires, whatever, get him aside and go, what was it back then? And he's like, oh, I just wanted to mess with him. Like, to me, it's like, that's what, but that's the thing. If you know his personality and you know what he's about and you know what he cares about, I believe that I know things that he cares about and things that matter to him. So when a game ends, I interview him based on what I saw and about the game, because he loves to talk about the game, the development. There's numerous times I've asked him a question about one thing, and he answered 5 other questions I had in my brain that I didn't even have to ask, because we were talking about scheming or position, whatever. But he and even with Malik Brown that I played today, he talked about Malik, and he said, we need to get action from the 3. We need to get action from Jesse. Malik's been consistent. He's done some good things, but we need help around him. And some other, and that's, I asked him one time about Jesse, and he ends up talking about Judah, Joe, Cy, Benny, and I'm sitting here going, how did he read my mind that I wanted all of that to come from what I was thinking about today. So, I mean, if Jim and I were sitting talking and there was nobody else in the room, I'd be breaking down film with him saying, like, Jim, this is what I saw. Am I wrong? Tell me I'm stupid if this is wrong, but this is what I saw in this play. Is there a way to do it here? Do I agree with everything he does? No. Do I agree with everybody on the planet 24/7? No. There's things that I see that I'm like, why did he do that? And he could turn around and say, well, I did it because of this, and maybe I didn't see it. And you learn from each other. So if I've learned anything from Jim Boeheim, I believe we mutually respect each other because we have for 11 years. I enjoy talking to him. I enjoy the opportunity of being there. I don't always agree with everything he does, but I respect him as a person. I respect him as a coach. I respect him for what he did for my city and for my community and what he's done for basketball and USA basketball in general. So Jim Boeheim, to me, will always be somebody that I respect as a coach and someone that I appreciate. And I like the way he raised his kids because I'm close. I have a good relationship with Jimmy. I'm really, really close to Buddy. And so I can appreciate all of that. With that being said, whatever you think of Jim Boeheim or don't think of Jim Boeheim, that man's funny, and I don't think people got that yet. So
yeah, he definitely is funny.
Because he will get you in such a way where, and I love that. You know, I think at the end of the year I might write an article that says, "Let's play man to man." ... Psych.
Listen, it was funny though, and you know, Dan, just not to be long with this one, but I remember my freshman year. We started out playing some man to man. I remember Providence, we played man to man. St. John's, we played man to man, and I think, and this is, I could be totally wrong, and I think, but I'm trying to look at it from coach's point of view.
Yeah.
If you don't have, especially in today's game, if you don't have 10 guys that are starters and be able to manage those guys, it's hard to play man-to-man with a lot of these athletic teams. And I think what Coach tries to do is he tries to go out and recruit the best players that he has. But a lot of times, you know, you got competition on the schools or whatever, so have you. But I really believe that he's never really had 10 guys that are all starters. And that makes a huge difference, especially on defense. If you got a guy that can come in on, you know, he's off the bench, he may be a scorer, but you need him to play defense. And I believe that attributes to a little bit of the reason why he doesn't want to go. He's never told me. I'm just looking at it from a basketball player point of view. Yeah. So, I don't know, Dan. I don't know what we're going to do. I think Coach going to go out with that 2-3 zone.
Well, let me tell you this, Otis, because I want to call BS on something. I want to be real about this. So, I know we've laughed a couple times. Get ready to do it again. So, here's my feeling on things. And I feel like y'all know that I'm right. Once I say this, I feel like y'all know that I'm right. When Syracuse is playing well, the majority of the media is up Jim Boeheim's rear end, showing him love. When Syracuse is losing, most of the media is shaming him, bashing him, because most of the media gives the people what they want. They focus on the population, the mass of the population. They look for where people are trending. Because somebody would say to me, Dan, you said positive things about Jim Boeheim. He's trending downward. Why would you go with that? Because I do this crazy thing called being a human. And when you're a human, you're supposed to tell the truth. You're supposed to give factual evidence. You're supposed to care about people and have empathy and try to understand a situation. I am not saying Jim Boeheim is coach of the year this year at all or anywhere close. But what I'm saying is I have been in the game long enough to know that the media loves Jim Boeheim when the fans love Jim Boeheim, and they hate Jim Boeheim when the fans hate Jim Boeheim. They write stories based on how they write stories based on and tell stories on their shows based on how the fans are. Go back and watch. Go back a few years when Jim Boeheim, 2016, Go back when he made the Final Four, and I was the only person that said Syracuse would have a good year. When I was the only man in America that picked them at the top of the ACC with North Carolina. And people thought I was crazy. Go back to that year and listen to people say that I'm crazy, and then at the end of the season go, Jim Boeheim, give him an extension. Oh my gosh, he is the savior. Is he the second coming of Jesus? I think he is. So if you go back and watch people, it is so laughable that somebody would say, because what do they say when you have a credential? You're an accredited member of the media. To be accredited, you need to have some weight to your word. And if you go back and you watch people's shows and you listen to commentary and you go back and you read articles, when Jim Boeheim, when the team struggled and the fans had pitchforks and torches, they wrote smut. And as soon as Jim Boeheim won, they burned those papers and said, we love Jim Boeheim, and we always have.
I can't even laugh at that because it's too true.
Yeah.
I can't, like, honestly, like, I was waiting and I was like, how can I even laugh at that? Because, you know, I was one of those people that I always read what the media wrote, and I wish I didn't, but, you know, I can't go back in time, but you're right. Everything you're saying is right, because I can remember reading one article one week when we lose to, I think, who did we lose? Somebody we lost to, we almost lost to Princeton. And I mean, they were talking about Boeheim like a dog, but then we go out and beat somebody like Arizona or Kentucky, and then he's the greatest coach in the world.
Yeah.
You're right. You are 100% right, man.
And I'll tell you this right now. I will tell you this right now. If they go out and they beat, it happened with Joe Girard. It happened with Joe this year. Joe had a little lull, and then Joe had like 27 points on the road, and there was dead silence on the message board. And I went, uh-oh, what are y'all going to do tonight? What are you going to do tonight? How are you going to react tonight? And the thing is, if the fans think and the media think, if you think that these guys and these girls don't know, I'm telling you from the inside, they know. Because everything that happened with Benny and people not knowing Benny's situation and this, that, and whatever, Benny now knows who he knows, And Joe Girard knows who he knows that he knows, and Trevor Cooney knows who he knows, and Tyler Ennis knows. I mean, I talked to these guys years after, and I go, hey, Tyler, I was thinking about this one time when this stuff happened with the media, and this was my thought on it, and this is how I reacted to it, but you're the guy that went through it. And he goes, nah, Dan, you were 100% correct. That happened, and I was like, bittered my taste. And so, you know, I mean, I want people to fully understand, if you're in the Dome and you lose your mind for Joe in his head is going, 50% of you are telling the truth. The other 50% of you said some nasty stuff about me 3 days ago. And, you know, and they know that. And that's the thing. And I tell people this all the time. Constructive criticism, vastly different than destructive criticism. Constructive criticism is the team is struggling. Here's where I think Frank Howard can get better. Ba 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 in my story, and then Frank hugs me at the end of the game. Why? Because I spoke about Frank and the team. Frank knows he's struggling. He doesn't need anybody to tell him that. The team knew they were struggling. They didn't need anybody to tell him that. But if they go to read my art, this is how I think about it. If Frank reads my article, if his mom reads it, his dad reads it, if Bay reads it, if Otis Hill reads it, John Wallace reads it, Jason Cipolla reads it, can they say Dan told the truth respectfully, or did they say Dan lied? Dan lied, disrespect. I mean, there's a difference between, did Dan tell the truth, the hard truth, respectfully? Did Dan lie and still find a way to be respectful? Or was Dan just totally disrespectful? And what a lot of people don't understand in the media, and this is where I'll stick up for Jim Boeheim, people don't know because they're not in the room. There are a lot of people in that room over the years that stand in the post-game press conference room with Jim Boeheim in an effort to make him react. And they bait him, and they fight with him, and they do things in the hopes that they will be made infamous and that their career will launch. Because if Jim Boeheim wasn't successful and he wasn't important, then people wouldn't try to get successful off of talking with him. And so many times I find people in that room trying to get famous by having Jim Boeheim blow up at them. And if you don't believe me, go read the articles that were written this year about people saying, I'm the guy that Jim Boeheim yelled at, and this is why I don't like him. That's not an article. That's an opinion. That's a letter to the editor. That's all that is. And, so I mean, I will say it over and over again. If you hate him, why do you need him so much?
Right? Exactly.
So that coming from Otis Hill, Syracuse Orange men's basketball alum, myself, Dan Tortora. We ran a little bit over today as we typically do, but Otis, we've had way too much fun that I don't want to let it go just yet. I want to let you do something. You get to put me on the hot seat. So, rapid fire, 3 questions. You're not on the hot seat. I'm going to sit here in my studio, and Otis Hill, one of the greatest Syracuse players, in my opinion, of all time, a guy who taught me about Cuses in the house, and a guy who said to me, Dan, when I played basketball, they were football games on the court. You have 3 questions to ask me whenever you're ready.
All right, Dan, let's see. What was your favorite Syracuse team?
Oh, that's so tough. So I would say, I think most people would say 2003, right?
Right.
But my first favorite Syracuse team, the first time I ever fell in love with a Syracuse team, I'm not saying this because you're on the air, the first time I fell in love with the Syracuse team, and my mom and my dad can attest to this. So, they know me like the back of their hand, and next to God, your parents know you. My mom and dad can tell you moment upon moment upon moment at 9 years old that the 95-96 Syracuse team was the first time I ever fell in love with a team. So, and that is because, and I will never forget this, the TV in the room, my dad was in his recliner that he's always in. My dad was sitting in his brown recliner. We had the pull-out couch out. My mom and I were in front of the TV, and the TV was on the side of the pull-out couch in the family room. And I was standing in front of the TV, and my mom was at my side, and they said, hold on a second. There seems to be a commotion on the Syracuse sideline. Let's go to the bench. It seems like they're, and you heard this, you hear this kind of this noise coming back, and then you get closer and closer and closer, and then you would hear, the Cuse is in the house, oh my God. And I was like, uh-oh. And I remember you guys were rocking, then I was rocking, and then I would go to school, and I felt like, this is my hometown, and I would walk into school going, the Cuse is in the house, oh my God. So, and in the studio, to live by my word of not knowing you're going to ask me this question, but having this, as people can see this sign right now, I am holding up the sign on Facebook and YouTube, both .com/wakeupcalldt. I've had this sign since I was a freshman in college, and people can look at this sign right now and see it on the screen. I have Cuses in the house, oh my God sign in my studio. So, yeah. So, my first team that I ever fell in love with of anything has to be the 95-96 team. My heart was broken when I saw the picture of John Wallace with his arm around you. If I could go back, if somebody said you can get in a DeLorean, go back in time, and you could change history, and one team could win a championship that didn't win a championship, I would go back to 95-96, and I would say, sorry, Kentucky, but I'm giving it to these guys. Because you guys, Jason Cipolla, J.B. Reef-Snyder, Marius Janulis, I'm looking right at the screen. I'm not looking at any roster here, folks. Otis Hill, John Wallace. This team was so good and so much fun. Lazara Sims. There was so much about this team that was so much about me, the underdog. Nobody thought they could make it. And I appreciate that. I love it. I respect it. Otis, at the end of my life, I can say that not only have I interviewed people from the 95-96 team when I was 9 years old, but that I'm actually friends with players on that team. And if you went back and told 9-year-old me that you're going to laugh and joke around with John Wallace and Otis Hill and all these guys, and they consider you a friend and part of their extended family, I would cry as a 9-year-old and say, are you kidding me? And so you guys didn't win a championship, but in my heart, you won a championship because that Syracuse team taught me that when you say, and I don't care what anybody says about this, when you talk about your team, you don't say that team, you say us, you say we. And there's some fans going, well, Dan, I didn't see you suit up in 95. No, when you love a team, it is us, it is we, and I might as well have been on that sideline that day because I look back at 95, 96, and I say, that's my team, that I was a part of that, a fan of that, I rode with that, I believed in that, I was inspired by that, and I went to Our Lady of Pompeii School every single day, chanting and screaming and yelling, and every time we won, my entire school, all my teachers, my principal, we celebrated you guys like you were friggin' kings in the world. So I will always love that moment.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
I really do.
Give me another one. What you got?
Let's see. Okay. Boeheim announced today
Yeah.
that he was going to retire.
Yeah.
And they came to you and said, you have a chance to pick a coach. Who would you pick? You could pick any coach. We're going to offer him that much for any coach out there, high school, college, anywhere. Who would you pick?
It's so hard because I know so many coaches, and so to me, if this happened like a decade ago, I would have said, give me Shaka Smart, give me Brad Stevens, something like that. But right, so I would have said something like that. I would have. There's certain guys I would have looked like maybe assistants, but I'm gonna keep this home and I'm gonna keep this real. And Red, I hope you're listening because I love you. People ask me this question all the time, and they say, "Who do you think's gonna get it?" And I said, "Listen, if it was, and by the way, if you asked me this question and Hop was still here, then to me, Hop should have been the coach, but the we could
do a whole show on that one.
Oh yeah. So, but I'm going to tell you this. This man did not get credit for all the guys he recruited to Syracuse. He did not get credit for the trips he took overseas. He did not get credit for the amount of players that he helped send to the NBA or the players that he developed. This man, no matter how long he's been at Syracuse, has not received the credit that he deserves. And I don't think people say his name enough. I don't think people know enough about him. I took that as a personal mission to do shows with him, bring him out into the community, and let people know about him. If I had to pick a coach today, right now, who has put in the blood, sweat, and tears, who is on that staff, who has given it all, I respect all three of the guys on the staff. And I hope that they can respect me for saying this because the amount of time, the amount of work that he's put in, he is a fantastic recruiter, and nobody gives him true credit that I've heard up to this point. If I had to pick somebody right now, I would give it to Adrian Autry because Adrian Autry is not spoken about enough, respected enough, understood enough, and I think that if you let him go and become a head coach, like he told me years ago, I want to be a head coach, Dan. I've always wanted to be a head coach. It's been a dream of mine. And I told him, I don't even know, but 5-7 years ago, Adrian, you deserve to be it. I want you to be it. And if it was up to me today, I would give it to Adrian Autry because if I didn't give it to Adrian Autry, I'm going to take a page out of Dabo Sweeney's book. Dabo Sweeney this past season hired an offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator after losing both of them that became head coaches elsewhere. He hired from within. And people apparently lost their freaking minds because he didn't go and find a big name person, but he hired from within. And he answered my question at ACC kickoff, and you can go back and watch it and listen to it. He said to me, if you have an opportunity where someone's put in the work and they deserve the raise and you don't hire from within, you destroy the culture of your organization. So in that respect, the man that's put in the work, the blood, the sweat, the tears, and is not only a good coach, but a fantastic recruiter. If I was Jim Boeheim and I was leaving and I did not put in my word for Adrian Autry, I would be destroying the culture of my program.
Wow. That right there is one of the best answers I could ever imagine you think of, because I totally agree with you. I've known Adrian since my freshman year, and Red has always, he even coached me my freshman year when I played on the floor. Like, he literally would coach me. Oh, don't be here. Oh, have your hands up. If I'm looking at you, you know, he would tell me little things, and I always thought to myself, like, Red would definitely be an amazing coach. And from what I hear, like you said, he's made it an amazing job recruiting. He doesn't get enough credit, but you're right. That's definitely a pick that I think you can't go wrong with. I like that, Dan. That was an awesome pick.
Thank you. I appreciate that. What is your last one for me?
All right. My last one is a little bit personal.
Okay.
If there was one Cuse player that you think you could beat on a one-on-one game, who would it be?
If there's one, like a Cuse player then, or a Cuse player right now?
I would say any Cuse player you could think of. Who would you play, and who do you think you could beat?
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna go with my man Griff, because he trash talks like a mother. So I am going with Allen. He does not shut up about my Jaguars, and so I'm going on the court with Griff, because I'm tired of his BS, man. I am tired of that BS. So, you know, Griff and I got a really good relationship. And that, man, I'm going to tell you something right now, though. Griff's been really freaking quiet for the last 4 or 5 weeks. I don't know what happened. Oh, Jacksonville won the division, went to the playoffs, won a playoff game, had one of the top three greatest comebacks in NFL history, had a ton of great games this season, at least 4, where they flipped the script on somebody, and they gave Kansas City, the Super Bowl champion Kansas City, the best, hardest fought game that they had to go up against leading into the Super Bowl. So, Griff, I guess my question to you is, why are you so quiet right now? I mean,
hey Dan, let me tell you something. I'm a Giants fan, and I took a little minute away from football, but I came back. The Jaguars are scary. They're going to be very scary next season.
Thank you. You know what? I got a towel here that I'm supposed to be hanging up in the studio, but because Otis Hill just spread some truth and some knowledge to y'all, I'm going to put this towel up on the screen. It says teal with it. Okay? That's what it says. It says teal with it. It's my Jaguars towel, folks. If you think that 10-9 is good, buckle up, baby, because we're about to have a good time. I love it. Dan, you were right about Trevor Lawrence. I was right about... Did anybody watch him play at Clemson? Anybody? I mean, Dan, do you really think he's going to have a good sophomore year? It seems like a bop. Some people, I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to answer the question. And I'm going to tell you this. After you answer a question a million times, probably why Jim Boeheim gets mad. But after you answer a question a million times, because Otis knows this, because we talk about it on and off the air. Otis, the last girl that I dated, she was a specimen of, all I can say is I found a new breed of human. I'll tell you that much. And so, you know, and people started asking me over and over again, why'd y'all break up? Y'all looked happy. So after 300 times, I was like, listen. And I told them my answer. I'll leave it off air. I'll leave it for my comedy. But I told them a very clear answer. And it made everybody uncomfortable because I was blunt and to the point. And they were like, oh. And I was like, yeah, stop asking me the question, okay? You know? You know what I mean? Because here's the thing. Crazy people are magicians, okay? Let me explain. Crazy people are magicians. They know that they're crazy, so they do card tricks, and they get you to look at their hand, because if you look at their face, you're going to run. So they get you to look over here because they're masters of trickery. This woman told me she believed in Bigfoot, and I laughed, and she didn't. And then
we watched a show about Bigfoot, which I can only describe as the worst acting and screenwriting maybe ever. And she was like, shh, they're going to find him this time. I've watched it for 5 years. They're close. And I thought to myself, this woman works in a hospital and she is responsible for saving your life. And she also thinks that these guys are going to find Bigfoot. And if they do, they're going to catch him. And if you've never watched Mountain Monsters before, I would love for you guys to watch it tonight and then follow me tomorrow on Wake Up Call and tell me what you think about a woman who told me that Bigfoot was real, who's also responsible for making sure your heart continues to beat in a hospital near you. So...
I heard it all now. Oh, I heard it all. I love it, Dan. I love it.
Yeah. But I told my buddy, I said, if she didn't do the magician stuff, the master of trickery, if she didn't make me look over at her hand and be like, how'd she get my card in between her fingers? You know, how did that happen? If I just said, I said, if nothing happened in our relationship but sitting on the couch and her talking to me about Bigfoot, our relationship would have lasted 8 days. But she knew how to get me, and the way that she got me. And so I would be like, hey, did you just say you believed in Bigfoot? And then she would mention something else, and the magician, listen, all I can say is shout out to my ex-girlfriend because she made helicopters disappear like David Copperfield.
Oh, man. That is too crazy. Oh, Dan, you got me almost in tears over here laughing. Good Lord.
So with that being said, Otis Hill, myself, Dan Tortora. Otis, it is always my pleasure. Can you get your butt up to Syracuse now, please?
Hey, listen, I'm going to plan something. I'm going to try to come up real soon. I actually got to come to New York, so I'm definitely going to try to swing by and come see you.
All right, man. Let's make it happen. As always, the great Otis Hill coming to you on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Otis, you know I appreciate you. I send you all my love, and I look forward to talking with you soon.
All right. Love you, brother. Take care.
All right. Love you, too. That coming from Otis Hill. Whoo! We're having a morning. Oh, people tell me Mondays are bad. Not this Monday. You were laughing at work today. You learned something today. So we're going to take a step aside. I got tears in my eyes, too. We're going to take a step aside on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We will be back right after this to wrap up today's broadcast. Whew. Listen, I tell you all the time, Wake Up Call is unlike any show you will find anywhere else. And I think we proved that today. We'll take a step aside, and we'll be back in the Cafe Kubal studios right after this.
Cafe Kubal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafekubal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Kubal needs. Cafe Kubal, coffee for the soul.
This is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York, open Monday through Saturday in-store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, you can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
Witty Wicks Candles and Gift Shop, Township 5 Camillus, where you will find handcrafted all-natural soy wax candles over 60 cents to freshen up your home. We carry a wide range of locally made items, Salsa Cuse, Syracuse Salt, and Chocolate Pizza Company, to name a few. Let our knowledgeable staff help choose unique gifts and keepsakes for any occasion. Gifts for family and friends, and maybe a little something for yourself. Witty Wicks Candles and Gift Shop, Township 5 Camillus.
This is a special message from Merritt Brady, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Watertown on 1290 Arsenal Street in Watertown, New York.
Chick-fil-A for me has always been about the people. I think it starts with the strength and leadership of the Cathy family. It's just amazing to see a family-run business reach the altitude that they have. Second mile service is something that we embodied at my previous business, and the ability to make people feel like they're the only person at your establishment, that you are there to serve them that day and looking for those extra ways to make them happy, to anticipate what they need next is what makes me tick. And I'm going to have so many opportunities at Chick-fil-A to do that. It's one of my favorite things to eat in the world. My favorite application question or interview question when I'm interviewing is when I get to, have you ever eaten at Chick-fil-A? And a smile hits both their ears. You know, they can't even answer the question for a second. And when I see that, it's like, man, that's going to be a great hire. They already get it. They already feel it. They already know that we're different. The Chick-fil-A experience, it's a real thing. And then, of course, just our generosity and community involvement and making a positive impact in the lives of our team members, our guests, and the community in general, I think is really the secret sauce.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, hanging out with you where sports meets that thing called life. I appreciate y'all being here with us every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, where sports meets that thing called life. And like I said, inside of these Cafe Kubal Studios, Cafe Kubal located on 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 401 South Salina Street, all in Syracuse. You will also find them by going to the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at Sweetheart Corners in North Syracuse and at their drive-through location. And you'll find them on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York. So make sure you head out there as well and let them know that Wake Up Call sent you to fill your cup up right. I hope you all have had a fantastic time with us this morning. I know that I've had a good time here with you this morning. I want to thank my awesome, incredible guests, the head coach on a record-setting season with the Bryant Stratton Bobcats of Syracuse. Big shout out to the men's basketball team, to all the student athletes, to the support staff, the assistant coaches, and to our guest today, Head Coach Clay Gagen-Sherman. God bless you all for working together as a team, and you're just getting started. You got another game tonight, and then we have nationals. So there's still a lot on the line. Keep fighting, gentlemen, and I send you all my love, my appreciation. Big shout out to head coach Jim Boeheim and veteran guard Symir Torrence, as well as Joe Girard III for joining me coming off the Duke game. And a big time shout out to Big O, Otis Hill, joining the broadcast on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You are with us every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on YouTube.com, Facebook.com, and MixLR.com, all / Wake Up Call DT. You're also with us on Facebook.com / Live Now DT and on WakeUpCallDT.com's homepage.
once the shows go live, they jump in the archives. We're going to be throwing all of this stuff into the archive. A lot of great stuff. So Clay's interview, as well as my conversations with Coach Boeheim, Cy, and Joe will be there, and my awesome conversation with Otis Hill will all be joining in these outlets, and you can find so many different shows in these. There's over 1,600 episodes on Podbean alone. So if you go to Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes and Apple Podcasts, MixLR, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, Podbean, Player FM, Podvine, YouTube, any one of these outlets. And there's also more. There's some being added every year. So if you search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora or Wake Up Call DT, one word, on any one of these outlets, you can click follow. That will give you my library of shows that updates on its own. You don't have to do anything. You can download the shows to listen to them when you are offline. And of course, you can listen to them when you're online from the app as well. Thank you to all of our incredible partners in everything we do here in the community. Thank you to Cafe Kubal. Thank you to Carvel DeWitt, as well as Wildcat Sports Pub, Witty Wicks, Avicoli's, Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, PB&J's Lunchbox, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Chick-fil-A Watertown, Mother's Cupboard, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, 317 at Montgomery. The name of the location is the name of the restaurant, 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse. Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Great Lakes Honda City, and Pizza Man. And of course, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, as you have come to know, is the proud multimedia marketing partner exclusively of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. It is Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You know, Wednesdays are Dolphin time, and Dolphin time comes to you Wednesdays on Wake Up Call exclusively, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. We start off the broadcast in the middle of the week with your Dolphins of Lemoyne. And every first and third Wednesday, AD and DT. Second and fourth with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora. Second and fourth Wednesday, we come to you with the Dolphin Dive, diving into the stories of student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni. You can get all that content, including our exclusive series on realignment and reclassification as Lemoyne looks at potentially going Division I. All of that's on our Lemoyne tab on wakeupcalldt.com. And, of course, on our YouTube channel, subscribe to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. If you go to YouTube right now on the app and you search AD and DT or Dolphin Dive or any of those pieces, or you type in my name, Tortora, with Lemoyne, you'll find a bunch of our content as well. Make sure to subscribe to our channel, Wake Up Call DT, all one word. For more information on your Dolphins, go to LemoyneDolphins.com. I do want to let you know, believe it or not, in February, our lacrosse seasons have begun, the baseball season, softball seasons have begun, and the men's and women's basketball teams have more life in the NE10 tournament, which starts this coming weekend. So Lemoyne on the fields and the courts of life are busy, busy. Men's tennis is in it now. So many awesome things going on. You do not want to miss it. A lot going on the Heights, and I cannot wait to bring all that to you very soon here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. So thank you for all of you that connect with our Lemoyne content and appreciate it and have sent beautiful messages. I appreciate y'all. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is also the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Bryant Stratton Bobcats of Syracuse. The Bryant Stratton Bobcats, if you don't know them, folks, get to know them. Their men's and women's soccer teams have won national, let me say it again, national championships. National championships. The men's and women's basketball teams have gotten to the national tournament that only a few teams get invited to, and their baseball season, the inaugural season, is coming. So all of the teams that are currently on site that have already played a season under their belt at Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse have either won a national championship or made it to the national tournament. I think those are pretty good odds for a pretty amazing school, in my opinion, on James Street in Syracuse, New York. You can check out the Bobcat Buzz with the Bobcats exclusively on Wake Up Call every single month. The content is on the BSC Syracuse tab on wakeupcalldt.com. And you can get them on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, search Bobcat Buzz on YouTube, and you will find all of our shows with all the fantastic student athletes and coaches. And for more information on the Bobcats, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life, I want to thank Clay Gagen-Sherman once again, Jim Boeheim, Joe Girard III, and Symir Torrence, and Otis Hill for being a part of today's show. We have only just begun. What a way to start off the week. We set the bar high today. Definitely set the bar high, which I love, and we're going to beat it tomorrow. Christy Salters-Martin joins me for our bi-monthly segment tomorrow morning, picture-in-picture, as we bring you Christy's Corner, and we got some really cool stuff to talk about that Christy is working on, and I'm ecstatic about that. So, a lot of great things coming up. Find us on social media, Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, Twitter at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call